Chapter 1390. In the distance, Nangong Hao, Blood Hand, and the others who were kneeling on the ground were overjoyed when they saw the Azure Hall. With the Azure Hall's help, they could definitely kill them. Even if they couldn't kill them, they could at least buy some time for their Hall Master to arrive. Therefore, they didn't say anything and just watched the scene with excitement. Boom! 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 The Azure army arrived, and countless cold gazes swept across the area. When they saw the miserable state of Nangong Hao and the others, they were stunned for a moment. However, they quickly swept past them and stared at Lin Xian. "You're that Hua Wufeng?" A tall young man asked coldly. He was the Azure Hall's prodigy and the first division master, Ming Xiao. On the other hand, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and sneered as he looked at the black mass of people before him. What's the matter? Killing the old redhead actually provoked so many redheads. Are you all here for revenge? Impudent! You're courting death! Slap him! Kid, you're courting death! The Azure Hall's martial artists roared. The surrounding martial artists' mouths twitched. Perhaps only Lin Xian dared to call the Azure Hall's members redheads. Kid, you killed my Azure Hall's elder, and now you're insulting my Azure Hall. You deserve to die. A burly middle-aged man with a sinister face shouted coldly. He was the Azure Hall's Hall Master, Venerable Azure. His voice was filled with boundless killing intent, and it quickly spread in all directions. The crowd's minds went blank and their ears trembled. Some of the weaker ones couldn't withstand the killing intent and fainted. Terrifying, too terrifying. As expected of the Azure Hall's Hall Master, he was much stronger than Nangong Hao and the others of the younger generation. Nangong Hao and the others were only at the intermediate 9th rank, but the Azure Hall's Hall Master was at the late 9th rank. He was extremely powerful. The Azure Hall's Hall Master was comparable to the 7 prodigies from before. You want to compete with me in killing intent? You're still lacking. Get lost! Lin Xian coldly shouted. Immediately, the sound wave transformed into countless blades and swords that rushed out in all directions. The murderous aura materialized into sword chi, which swept across the sky. The terrifying sound waves directly tore the void apart. This was too terrifying. The killing intent emitted by Lin Xian was even stronger than that of the Azure Hall's Hall Master. The faces of the Azure Hall martial artists were filled with fear. Not only that, but the murderous aura swords in the sky quickly condensed into a huge killing sword, which then slashed toward the people of the Azure Hall. Boom! With a loud bang, the terrifying sword of slaughter descended. Instantly, the entire space shook violently. That terrifying murderous aura surged, as if it could destroy everything. Not good. Damn it. How dare you? Those from the Azure Hall were shocked, and the Azure Hall's Hall Master was furious. He waved his palm and quickly slapped forward. The momentum of this punch was extremely frightening. The terrifying fist directly shook the sky to the point of shattering. In the next moment, the fist collided with the sword of slaughter, and an earth-shaking sound was heard. At the point of collision, countless flashes of lightning and thunder flashed, and violent energy swept out in all directions. This aura caused the surrounding martial artists to tremble, and their bodies trembled. What was even more shocking was that the Azure Hall's Hall Master's punch did not shatter the sword of slaughter. The terrifying sword chi shone in the sky, as if it was the sword of a killing god. It was extremely sharp. What? It's nothing. How is this possible? Those from the Azure Hall were shocked, and the surrounding martial artists were in an uproar. They did not expect Lin Xian's strength to be so strong that he could contend with the Azure Hall's Hall Master. No wonder he could beat up the other Sky Prides. In the next moment, the Azure Hall's Hall Master's giant fist was slashed in half. Not only that, but the sword light did not disappear. It was still rapidly slashing toward the people of the Azure Hall. Damn it, who is this kid? He's so strong. The Azure Hall's Hall Master was shocked. Although he did not use his full strength in that punch, he still used almost 70% of his strength. Under normal circumstances, he would not be able to contend with a Sky Pride. However, Lin Xian was able to withstand it. Not only that, but Lin Xian had also slashed his fist. He had to admit that this was beyond his expectations. "You're courting death." With a furious roar, the Azura Hall master punched out again. This time he used all his strength, preparing to shatter Lin Xian's sword energy. He was not alone. The hundreds of Azura Hall's martial artists behind him also roared and attacked. Palm shadows and fist forces shot up into the sky and bombarded the Sword of Slaughter. Boom! In the next moment, the sky exploded again. Countless energies surged, covering the entire space in an instant. Many martial artists were sent flying by the energy storm. Some of the weaker martial artists screamed in agony. The Azura Hall's martial artists retreated as a whole, leaving deep grooves in the ground. This scene was too terrifying. So many elite martial artists of the Azura Hall had attacked together, and there was even an honorable Azura among them. However, they still could not withstand Lin Xian's sword. This was too unbelievable. The honorable Azura roared, "Kid, you've angered me. I'll let you know what it means to wish you were dead." Behind him, the hundreds of Azura Hall's martial artists also roared crazily, "Kid, kneel down and accept your death." Their voices vibrated and their momentum shook the sky. The terrifying sound waves seemed to be able to overturn the entire sky. Lin Xian snorted coldly, "Cut the crap. Get over here and accept your death." Formation. Azura God slaughtering formation. The honorable Azura roared. Immediately, the hundreds of Azura Hall's martial artists behind him moved quickly, forming a terrifying formation. Waves of killing intent gushed out from these people and quickly condensed in the air, forming a terrifying killing formation. This formation was extremely powerful. At this moment, it was formed by hundreds of Azura Hall's elites. It was even more powerful. Even a Hall Master would not be able to escape death if he entered. On the other hand, Lin Xian's black hair fluttered in the wind. The furious dragon art in his body was circulating rapidly. His body was full of vitality like a huge dragon. Then his palms quickly formed seals. Cheong-Chi transformation. A deep voice sounded. Then a huge figure appeared in the sky. It was the ancient beast Cheong-Chi. This was the first transformation of the 9 firmament transformations. At this moment, Lin Xian fully displayed it. His huge body was as if a real demonic beast had been reborn. It was extremely terrifying. Taking a step forward, heaven and earth shook. Then Cheong-Chi's huge body moved and rushed toward the hundreds of Azura Hall's martial artists. Boom! Cheong-Chi's power shook the sky and the earth. It crashed into the Azura God slaughtering formation that had just been formed. "You're courting death. Destroy it." The Azura Hall's martial artists roared. However, they had underestimated Lin Xian's attack. The 9 firmament transformations was a true Earth-class cultivation technique. Moreover, Lin Xian had also used the Furious Roar art. Coupled with the power of the great dragon sword soul, it could be said that it was unstoppable. Soon, the blood-colored formation that had just been formed shattered into pieces. The sound of metal breaking could be heard. Boom! 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 The mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. Countless Azura Hall's martial artists were smashed into meat paste. Even more were sent flying. In an instant, the smell of blood and screams could be heard. What? The Azura God slaughtering formation was broken? How is this possible? Everyone was shocked and did not dare to believe it. The Azura Venerable's eyes were also red. "Brat, you dare to kill my Azura Hall's disciples. I will kill you. Die." A figure flew out. It was the Azura Hall's genius Ming Xiao. Chapter 1391. What? The Azura god slaughtering array was broken? How is that possible? Everyone was shocked and didn't dare to believe it. The Azura venerables' eyes turned red. Brat, you dared to kill my Azura Hall's disciple. I'll kill you. Die for me. A figure flew out. It was the Azura Hall's prodigy Ming Xiao. He roared and rushed into the sky with the blood-colored spear in his hand. Azura god slaughtering spear. He thrust the spear forward, causing the wind and clouds to change. Blood-colored runes revolved around the spearhead and emitted a terrifying power. Lin Xian coldly snorted and changed his palm again. Cheong-Chi changed into a sky-shaking roar. Suddenly, the huge Cheong-Chi in the sky turned around and faced the Azura prodigy. Then it opened its bloody mouth and emitted a terrifying sound wave. Roar! The sound wave burst forth and quickly spread, causing the sky in front of it to explode. The blood-colored spear exploded in the terrifying sound wave and turned into countless fragments. The Azura Hall's prodigy Ming Xiao screamed miserably as his body was cut into countless pieces. His corpse fell and blood dyed the sky red. A prodigy was killed just like that. What? He's dead. Nangong Hao and the others, who were kneeling in the distance, narrowed their eyes and had a drastic change in expression. They didn't expect that Ming Xiao, who was on the same level as them, would be killed so easily. That was the Azura Hall's prodigy. How could he dare to kill him? Ah, damn brat, I'll kill you. The 4 elders of the Azura Hall soared into the sky like bolts of lightning, bringing with them a torrential killing intent. They were mad with anger. The other party dared to kill their Azura Hall's prodigy. It was an unforgivable crime. However, Lin Xian changed his palm again. Sky rock transformation, golden sword. Suddenly the sky trembled and a golden figure appeared. It was a giant bird. When it spread its wings, it covered the sky and emitted a terrifying aura. Not only that, but the golden feathers also transformed into 100,000 long swords that slashed downward. Puff! Puff! In an instant, the 4 elders were cut in half. Not only that, the Azura Hall's martial artists below were also pierced by several golden swords. In an instant, all the Azura Hall martial artists were killed. The only person still alive was the Azura Hall's Hall Master, Venerable Azura. They were all wiped out. They were all wiped out in an instant. Everyone was shocked, not daring to believe what they were seeing. What kind of method was this? Is he really the disciple of the third guardian? How could this be? I'm afraid even the third protector doesn't have that kind of ability. Let alone the third protector, I'm afraid that even the left and right emissaries might not be able to do it. I'm afraid that only the sect master would be able to do it. Everyone was in a daze. The venerable Shura roared madly, "Damned brat, I'm going to kill you!" His heart was bleeding. Those were the elites of his Azura Hall. He couldn't accept the fact that all of them had been killed in an instant. Perhaps after this battle, the Azura Hall's strength would drop to 1,000 feet. They wouldn't even be able to defeat the weakest Nether Hall. And all of this was caused by this detestable brat in front of him. Therefore, he had to kill him. Die, brat! The Venerable Azura's expression was ferocious as he charged toward Lin Xian at lightning speed. Countless purple lights gushed out from his body, and his aura was extremely terrifying. Azura palm! A dazzling light burst out from his palm. The entire void could not withstand it at all. This time he was determined to kill. Not only did he use all of his strength, but he also used the Azura Hall's ultimate technique, the Azura palm. No one of the same cultivation level dared to resist this palm. Lin Xian was as fast as lightning. He shouted coldly, then raised his arm and slashed out with his sword. Lin Xian slashed out a sword light that emitted a sharp aura. It instantly collided with the purple palm. The Venerable Azura's expression changed immediately. He had gone crazy and attacked recklessly. However, When his opponent's sword landed on his body, he regretted it very much. That was because the sword chi was too sharp and he could not withstand it at all. Therefore, in the next moment, the purple azure palm that he unleashed was instantly cut in half. Not only that, but the sword also split his palm and severed his entire arm. Ah! The venerable Azura screamed miserably at the sky. However, that was not the end. The sharp sword light was still descending rapidly and was about to kill him. However, at that moment, a furious roar suddenly came from the void. Stop! The voice was very loud and clear. It was like a clap of thunder that shook the void. Buzz! The long sword stopped and hung above the venerable Azura's head. Lin Xian raised his eyebrows slightly. His gaze was like lightning as he scanned the distance. Then he said coldly, "Who are you? What do you want to say?" The void moved quickly, and a majestic figure appeared. It was a middle-aged man with tiger-like eyes and a lion-like nose. He looked very dignified. As soon as the figure appeared, Elder Linghu and the rest of the people from the law enforcement hall quickly exclaimed, "Greetings, City Lord." He's the City Lord of the Southern Wilderness ancient town. Everyone was shocked as they looked at the sky. They did not expect that the mysterious City Lord had finally appeared. Below, when Gu Yuan, who was being controlled, saw this scene, he also shouted loudly, "City Lord, hurry up and save me!" Humph! The City Lord snorted coldly and ignored him. Previously, when Gu Yuan knelt and begged for mercy, he had embarrassed the Southern Wilderness ancient town. How could he save him? Moreover, he was doing this to save the venerable Azura. Hence, he quickly said, "You can't kill him." "Can't kill him?" Lin Xian sneered. "Give me a reason." "Because he's the hall master of the Azura Hall." "Nonsense." "Of course. I know that he's the hall master of the Azura Hall. However, that's not a reason to not kill him." The hall master of the Azura Hall said in a ferocious voice, "Kid, you really want me to kill him? When the time comes, I'm afraid even the third law won't be able to protect you. The sacred sect will definitely not let you go." Hua Wufeng, did you hear that? Hurry up and release the venerable Azura. Everything can still be discussed. Don't make a big mistake. Otherwise, it'll be too late for regrets. The City Lord said coldly. "That's what you want to say. It seems like you can't give any other reason. In that case, get lost. You." The City Lord was furious. His face darkened. No one had ever dared to treat him like this. However, before he could get angry, he was stunned. This was because Lin Xian, who was in front of him, waved his arm. The sword light directly slashed down and split the venerable Azura in half. Bang! The hall master of the Azura Hall was killed. His corpse fell to the ground, and his blood dyed the sky red. What? The hall master of the Azura Hall is dead. Everyone was shocked and could not believe it. That was the hall master of the Azura Hall. He was an extremely important figure. Even the 4 great protectors did not dare to kill him easily. However, now a 20-year-old young man had killed the hall master of the Azura Hall. This was the rhythm of breaking through the sky. Now, there was no need for the Azura Hall to take revenge. The Black Dragon sect alone would not let Lin Xian go. Chapter 1392. In the distance, Nangong Hao, Shueshou, and the others were in despair. They didn't expect the other party to be so bold as to kill the hall master. This made them extremely terrified. With the other party's way of doing things, he would definitely kill the 7 of them if he had the time. "Hall master, please come quickly." Nangong Hao and the others quickly prayed in their hearts. The City Lord's face was extremely gloomy. He didn't expect the other party to really kill him. Moreover, the thing that he had been guessing for a long time was now clear. "You're too bold. No one dares to be so bold, at least not the disciples of the sacred religion." The City Lord's voice was cold. "You're not the 3rd Guardian's disciple. Who are you?" "He's not the 3rd Guardian's disciple?" Everyone exclaimed. They didn't expect the situation to change like this. For a moment, everyone looked at the sky and stared at Lin Xian. "Who are you? What's your purpose in coming to my southern wasteland, ancient array?" The city lord's eyes were piercingly cold. A powerful aura was released from his body, making him look like a god of war. However, Lin Xian only sneered. He stretched out his index finger and pointed forward. Void-shattering finger. A streak of purple light shot out like a ghost. "You're courting death. How dare you attack?" The city lord was furious. He was about to counterattack, but in the next moment his body trembled and his pupils dilated. A stream of blood flowed down from his forehead. "No, impossible." The city lord opened his eyes wide and said a few words with difficulty. Then his neck tilted and he fell from the sky. Boom! The ground trembled and dust flew. The city lord's body didn't stand up again. "What? He's dead?" Everyone was shocked. The enforcers were even more terrified. Among them, Elder Linghu quickly moved and came near the city lord's body. He quickly checked and then gasped. He was really dead. There was a finger-sized hole in the city lord's forehead. Black blood flowed out from it. This was the power of Lin Xian's void-shattering finger. What? The city lord is dead. He was killed by one finger. Everyone was shocked and couldn't believe it. Previously, the venerable Azura had resisted for a while before he was killed. However, the city lord had been killed with a single finger. He didn't even have the chance to resist. Impossible, this can't be true. The people from the city lord's mansion shook their heads frantically, not daring to believe it. On the other hand, Elder Linghu and the others were horrified. They looked at Lin Xian with fear in their hearts, not daring to take revenge. Lin Xian snorted, then turned around and looked at the 7 people kneeling on the ground. Feeling Lin Xian's gaze, Nangong Hao and the others trembled in fear. Before this, they were furious and wanted to take revenge. But now, after witnessing the scene of Lin Xian killing the Azura Hall Master and Southern Wasteland City Lord with their own eyes, they were completely dumbfounded. They had never heard of such a method before. It was simply not something they could imagine. It should be known that even if they were to join forces, they might not necessarily be able to kill the Azura Hall's Hall Master. Yet the Azura Hall's Hall Master had done so easily. What was even more shocking was that the other party had killed the Southern Wasteland City Lord, whose cultivation wasn't any weaker than the Azura Hall's Hall Master with a single finger. Such a method was too horrifying, making it impossible for them to resist. "I beg you, don't kill me. Spare me. I beg you, spare me. I was wrong, I was really wrong. I apologize for what happened before. Please let me go." At this moment, the Sky Prides were all kneeling on the ground and begging for mercy. No one dared to say anything. They didn't want to think about anything else now. They just wanted to save their own lives. Lin Xian snorted. These people were from the Black Dragon sect. Their hands were stained with the blood of innocent people. How could he let them go? He raised his hand and was about to kill the 7 people. However, at this moment, another angry roar came from afar. "Who dares to touch the people of the Blood Evil Hall? How dare you? Let my disciple go." 2 cold shouts were heard. Then 2 figures appeared in the sky like lightning. The 2 figures were too fast. In an instant, they were in front of the crowd. When the crowd saw them, they immediately cried out in surprise. Nangong Hao and Blood Rogue, who were kneeling on the ground, cried out loudly, "Master! Hall Master, save me." It turned out that the 2 of them were the Hall Masters of the Divine Pill Hall and the Blood Evil Hall. They didn't expect them to come personally. The Hall Master of the Divine Pill Hall was an old man. He wasn't tall and wore a white robe. However, his eyes were as sharp as a divine eagle's. His body exuded a terrifying aura. He was more powerful than the governor of the Southern Desolation ancient town, and the Azura Honorable from the Azura Hall. He was the hall master of the Divine Pill Hall, known as the Divine Pill Honorable. Beside him was a middle-aged man. He was tall and had a powerful aura. He wore a bright red robe with blood flowing on it. It was shining brightly. This person had a murderous aura, as if he was a bloody devil. He was the hall master of the Blood Evil Hall, the Blood Evil Honorable. His aura was several times more powerful than Blood Rogue's. Divine Pill Honorable, Blood Evil Honorable. Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect two hall masters to appear. It's over. Hua Wufeng is in danger. That's right, with the two hall masters taking action. Their strength can be considered heaven-defying. Looks like Nangong Hao and Blood Rogue's lives are saved. Just as the crowd was discussing, two angry shouts came from afar. "Kid, how dare you touch the people of the evil ghost hall? You must be tired of living. Humph. How dare you touch the people of the Pink family? Kneel down and accept your death." Hearing the two shouts, the crowd was shocked again. Ghost Li and Yu Luosha, who were kneeling on the ground, were overjoyed. "Hall Master, Master, save me." "Shush, shush." Two figures appeared in front of the crowd. They stood in the void. Their powerful aura shrouded the area, and invisible killing intent filled the air. The evil ghost Honorable, the Pink Honorable. The crowd was shocked. They couldn't believe it. The scene was too shocking. The person on the left was a middle-aged man. He was skinny and wore a huge black robe that covered his entire body. He wore a black robe on his head as well. His face couldn't be seen clearly. However, one could occasionally see two balls of flames dancing in his eyes. On his shoulders there were two hideous ghost heads that gave off a cold and terrifying aura. In his hand there was a white bone magic staff. When he waved it casually, countless ghost shadows and vengeful spirits surrounded it. That aura was enough to make anyone who saw it feel despair. He was the hall master of the evil ghost hall, the evil ghost Honorable. The person on the right was a middle-aged woman. She looked to be in her 40s. However, there were no signs of aging on her face. Her skin was as smooth as a baby's. Not only that, she had a mature aura. She was like a blossoming peach blossom. Her every move was filled with charm. This woman was the head of the Pink aristocratic family. However, at this moment, her eyes were filled with malice as she glared at Lin Xian and shouted, "Kid, how dare you touch my people? Kneel down and accept your death." Lin Xian lifted his head and looked at the people in the sky. His eyes flashed. 4 hall masters? Interesting. However, it's not enough. Chapter 1393. Lin Xian raised his head slightly and looked at the people in the sky. His eyes flickered. 4 hall leaders? That's interesting. But it's not enough. Hearing that, everyone's mouth twitched and their scalps went numb. 4 hall leaders are not enough? Is this kid crazy? The 4 hall leaders in the sky shouted coldly and were about to attack. However, at that moment, another angry shout came from behind. Then, 2 bolts of lightning came quickly. Instantly, Feng Hudy and Shadowless started shouting as well. 2 more hall leaders. Everyone exclaimed and felt dizzy. That's right. 2 more figures appeared in the sky. They were the Black Wind Hall leader and the Assassination Hall leader. The Black Wind Hall leader was a middle-aged man in black armor. He also held a black spear, but his aura was many times stronger than Feng Hudy's. The Assassination Hall leader was an old man. He looked ordinary and expressionless, as if he was an ordinary person. However, no one dared to look down on him because he could assassinate a guardian. Apart from Gu Yuan, who was in despair, the rest of the supreme talents who were kneeling on the ground were overjoyed because their elders and hall leaders were all here. The hall leaders gathered in the sky and locked their eyes on Lin Xian. They did not hide their cold, murderous intent. Any one of the 6 hall leaders could dominate an area and make countless people crawl. However, at this moment, the 6 of them were even more terrifying. No one could fight against them, not to mention Lin Xian. Even the 3rd guardian might not be able to fight against them. Master! That kid got 3 mysterious crystals. Take him down quickly! Nangong Hao shouted crazily from below. Yes, not only did he steal my mysterious crystals, but he also stole the Blood Soul Stone. We must kill him. Yu Luosha screamed. He stole 3 mysterious crystals and a Blood Soul Stone. Hearing that, the 6 hall leaders in the sky looked fervent. Kid, kneel down and hand over the mysterious crystals and the Blood Soul Stone. I can give you a quick death. Let him go. Young man, I advise you not to make a mistake. Although you are strong, you can't fight against the 6 of us. Hand it over or die. The 6 hall masters were like 6 huge mountains, pressing down on the sky, making it hard for people to breathe. The surrounding martial artists were pale, and their bodies were on the verge of collapse. In front of the 6 massive auras, they were like ants, unable to resist at all. However, Lin Xian's expression remained the same, and there was even a hint of disdain at the corner of his mouth. He ignored the 6 people and turned to look at Nangong Hao and the others. Brat, hurry up and let her go, or you're dead. Hand over the mysterious crystal, and I can spare your life. I will return the pain I suffered 100-fold. Nangong Hao and the others roared crazily with ferocious faces. Nangong Hao, Bloodhand, and the others roared madly. They were no longer afraid. What? You think you can be so arrogant just because 6 hall masters are here? Have you forgotten your own situation? Lin Xian looked at Nangong Hao and the others and harumphed coldly. Brat, I advise you to be sensible. Quickly surrender and obediently allow yourself to be captured. I admit that you're strong, but in the face of 6 hall masters, you can't fight back at all. Surrender, and I can spare your life. The 7 people who were kneeling on the ground sneered. Idiots, not to mention the 6 hall masters. Even if the 6 challenger-level experts were here, they wouldn't be able to save you. No one can stop me from killing someone if I want to. Lin Xian stopped smiling and waved his hand. Instantly, the light palms floating above Nangong Hao and the others slammed down. How dare you? No. Master, save me. Bloodhand, Ghostly, and the others screamed madly, their faces full of despair. They didn't expect Lin Xian to really dare to attack them. Impossible. How dare he do it? Isn't he afraid of the revenge of the 6 hall masters? However, they definitely didn't know what would happen to Lin Xian, because when the 7 light palms landed, the 7 sky prides who were kneeling on the ground were instantly smashed into a bloody mist. Boom! Their bodies exploded. Their flesh and blood splattered everywhere, and their bones shattered into pieces. Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded. Their minds went blank, and they couldn't believe it. As for the 6 hall masters in the sky, their pupils abruptly shrank. To be honest, they were also dumbfounded, because they couldn't believe that the other party would attack them. One should know that they were the 6 hall masters. In the face of such an attack, even the protectors couldn't do anything, let alone a young boy. However, the other party still attacked without any hesitation. Good, good, good. Boy, I've underestimated you. The Divine Pill Honorable laughed out of anger. Boy, how dare you? However, since you dared to kill the people of the Blood Fiend Hall, your end will be extremely miserable. The Blood Fiend Honorable's expression was ferocious. Brat, I won't let you die so easily. I'm going to capture you and torture you alive for 49 days. I'll let you die in endless despair. The Pink Honorable's face was pale, and her body was trembling with anger. In the next moment, the 6 hall masters were completely enraged. They swore that they would capture Lin Xian and let him know what regret was. Lin Xian's black hair fluttered in the wind as he looked up to the sky and laughed. 6 hall masters? Good, Good, good. Together with the dead Shura Hall Master and the Nether Hall Master, the 8 Hall Masters of the Black Dragon sect are gathered. I was thinking about how to find you, but I didn't expect that you would come to me obediently. Since that's the case, I'll personally send you on your way. What did you say? What? Shura Hall Master and Nether Hall Master? Black Dragon sect? How dare you call them Black Dragon sect? Who are you? When the 6 Hall Masters heard Lin Xian's words, they were stunned and their brows furrowed. They knew that the Shura Honorable was dead. But what about the Nether Honorable? They didn't have any news about the Nether Hall. And now, the other party mentioned that the Nether Hall Master was also killed. Damn guy. I'm afraid he's not from the Black Dragon sect. Let's capture him quickly and see who he is. Kill. The Blood Fiend Honorable roared, and his blood, chi, surged to the sky. Then, countless blood-red runes surrounded his fingertips. Suddenly, a huge blood-red light palm covered the sky and grabbed at Lin Xian. Boom! 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 The palm slammed down, and the space in front of him collapsed, forming a terrifying black hole. However, Lin Xian's figure still disappeared. What fast speed! The Blood Fiend Honorable frowned. He didn't expect Lin Xian to be so fast that he could dodge his attack. Be careful, this guy is not weak, the Black Wind Honorable said in a deep voice. When they came, they already knew that Lin Xian had killed the Shura Honorable and the city governor. Therefore, they didn't let their guard down. However, they still underestimated Lin Xian's strength. At this moment, Lin Xian didn't have any intention of hiding his identity. Since the remaining 6 Hall Masters were gathered here, he naturally had to deal with them together. Chapter 1394. Whoosh! A gust of wind swept across, and Lin Xian's figure instantly appeared in front of the 6 of them. In the next moment, he drew out the Lone Star Sword, and a terrifying sword intent burst out from his body. With a slash of the sword, heaven and earth shook. With a clang, the huge bloody palm in the sky was split into 2 halves, and an endless amount of blood splattered everywhere. You're courting death! Venerable Blood Demon roared and let out a miserable scream. Then, an endless amount of bloody light burst out from his body, covering the entire sky. However, just as the aura reached its peak, it stopped abruptly. Puff! Venerable Blood Demon's head flew up, and blood spurted out. His face was filled with horror. Even until his death, he could not believe that his opponent could kill him with a single slash. What? He was killed with a single slash? That's impossible. When the remaining 5 Venerables saw this scene, their pupils suddenly shrank. Damn it! Let's join forces. This guy is hiding his strength. The Divine Core Venerable roared crazily. He felt a chill in his heart because he realized that he had underestimated his opponent's strength. With his means, his opponent was definitely not weaker than the Guardians and had reached the peak of level 9. They were no match for him in a one-on-one fight, so they had to join forces to kill him. However, just as the Divine Core Venerable finished shouting, he encountered a big problem. A phoenix bathed in black flames flew out from Lin Xian's palm and pounced on him quickly. You're courting death. Get lost. The Divine Core Venerable roared angrily as he struck out with both of his palms. Endless flames also came out from his palms, forming a row of fire walls. He was very confident in competing with flames. His flames were extraordinary, and they were even more powerful than the fire spirit. However, in the next moment, he let out a miserable scream because the fire walls and fireballs that he had created were all burned up in an instant. On the other hand, his opponent's Black Phoenix was safe and sound, and it enveloped him in an instant. Damn it! What kind of flame is this? How can it be so terrifying? The Divine Core Venerable was terrified as he screamed. He realized that this flame was not any weaker than his sect masters. After 2 miserable screams, the Divine Core Venerable was burned into ashes. What? The divine core venerable is also dead. The 4 hall masters felt a chill in their hearts, and their faces turned ugly. In just an instant, they had lost 2 hall masters. This was something they simply could not accept. As for the Black Dragon Church's disciples below, they were all stunned. They did not dare to believe their eyes. That was a hall master, an existence that they could only look up to. But now he was being slaughtered like a dog. This kind of huge contrast gave them an infinite shock. He is definitely not the disciple of the 3rd protector. Who is he? Damn it, this kid's strength has already surpassed the 3rd protector. By now, everyone understood that this person was definitely not Hua Wufeng, nor was he the disciple of the 3rd guardian. If they were disciples of the saint, they wouldn't dare to kill so many hall masters at the same time, no matter how arrogant they were. Capture his companions. We can't beat him, but can't we capture his companions? Below, the divine Pill Hall and Blood Fiend Scattering Hall's martial artists roared madly. They wanted to capture Lin Xian's companions and threaten Lin Xian. Suddenly, nearly 100 martial artists rushed madly towards Murong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan. In the sky, even the king of assassins, the honorable assassin, made his move. This was because he had also heard the news that Lin Xian had attacked the Azure Hall. It was because someone had humiliated the purple-clothed woman that a series of tragedies had occurred. Therefore, at this moment, he was eager to capture Murong Qingqing so that he could be captured quickly. The elite martial artists of the Blood Fiend Hall, Divine Pill Hall, and Malicious Spirit Hall all rushed towards Murong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan. According to their thinking, as long as they captured the 2 women, Lin Xian in the sky would definitely surrender. However, they were too naive. Looking at the martial artists rushing towards him, Luo Bingshan snorted coldly and pulled out the long saber at his waist. Whoosh! Saber radiance flashed and filled the surroundings. With a slash of the saber, the terrifying saber radiance was like a vast galaxy enveloping the surroundings. Uft! 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 Several heads flew up. Hundreds of martial artists were killed in an instant. Impossible! How can he be so strong? Everyone was frightened and quickly retreated. They did not dare to move forward. Careless. They were too careless. They thought that the 2 women by Lin Xian's side would be easy to capture because they did not have much strength. However, they did not expect Luo Bingshan to be so strong. Looking at the power of his saber, it was not any weaker than the Hall Masters. This was natural. Luo Bingshan was a peak 9th layer venerable and had the strength to assassinate half-step kings. In front of him, these people were simply not enough. Murong Qingqing also snorted coldly. She raised her lily-white hand and pressed it towards the void behind her. Puff! A figure appeared from the void. His body kept retreating, and his face was filled with horror. He was the Hall Master of the Assassination Hall, Venerable Assassination. He originally wanted to capture Murong Qingqing, but he did not expect her to be so strong and discover his existence in an instant. That terrifying palm made him feel suffocated. This was an existence that he could not contend with. Venerable Assassination was so scared that his scalp went numb. He could feel that the purple-clothed woman in front of him was far stronger than him. Even the protector was no match for her. I have to run. He was scared out of his wits. This was too terrifying. The 2 women and 1 man in front of him were far stronger than him. Any one of them could easily defeat him. The appearance of such a strong person in his Black Dragon sect was definitely a disaster. He had to report this to the sect master. Humph! Murong Qingqing snorted lightly. The other party dared to assassinate her. He was courting death. She waved her lily-white hand. Suddenly, a purple light shone brightly. A purple cloud like a saber cut the Venerable Assassination in half. What? The Venerable Assassination is also dead? Seeing this scene, everyone screamed in fear and fled in all directions. The remaining 3 hall masters in the sky also felt their scalps go numb. Their faces were full of fear. Stop! No more fighting! No more fighting! The 3 hurriedly shook their heads. It was a misunderstanding. Everything before was a misunderstanding. Since you have already obtained the mysterious crystal, we will not snatch it from you and will not attack you. You can leave if you want to. We will not stop you. Venerable Pink also quickly shook his head. Now, they were no longer as arrogant as before. Instead, they were terrified and could not wait to escape. What a joke! In the blink of an eye, half of their hall masters were dead. The remaining 3 were naturally no match for Morong Qingqing. However, Lin Xian shook his head coldly. Kneel down and kowtow 10 times. Then I will consider taking you as my slaves. Otherwise, only death awaits you. What? Boy, you are courting death. The hall master of the malicious spirit hall was ferocious. The other 2 hall masters also looked terrible. Their eyes were filled with killing intent. Kowtow 10 times? Become slaves? What a joke! Although they could not defeat Morong Qingqing, they would not accept such a condition. Chapter 1395. Lin Xian shook his head coldly. Kneel down and kowtow 10 times, and I'll consider keeping you as my slaves. Otherwise, you'll die. What? Kid, you're courting death. The malicious spirit hall master looked ferocious. The other 2 hall masters also looked terrible, and their eyes were filled with killing intent. Kowtow 10 times? Become slaves? What a joke! Although they couldn't defeat him, they wouldn't accept such a condition. Kid, don't be so arrogant. If you push me too far, we'll fight to the death. Humph! Even if we die together, I won't agree to your request. The Black Wind Venerable snorted. Don't talk nonsense with him. Let's fight. Then, the 3 of them quickly burned their spiritual energy and released a powerful aura, raising their combat strength to the peak of LV9. This was the secret technique of the Black Dragon sect, which could increase their strength in times of crisis to save their lives. However, after that, they would suffer a severe backlash. But in the face of danger, they couldn't care less about that. They had to kill Lin Xian first. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. The 3 of them greatly increased their strength to the peak of LV9 and surrounded Lin Xian. King of Ghosts! The malicious spirit Venerable snorted and quickly waved the white bone staff in his hand. Suddenly, countless malicious ghosts and vengeful spirits rushed out and formed a ghost king. Heaven-destroying, earth-exterminating spear. The Black Wind Venerable roared, and the long spear in his hand rushed out like a raging dragon. Aurora Slash. The Pink Venerable also pulled out a treasured saber, held it in her hand, and quickly slashed out 18 times. The terrifying saber radiance was terrifying. The 3 hall masters burned their spiritual energy and attacked without caring about the consequences, releasing unparalleled strength. Lin Xian snorted and quickly activated the astral armor. Suddenly, a set of blue armor appeared and covered his body, revealing only a pair of cold eyes. His palms kept changing as he shouted, 9 changes of the firmament, 9-headed snakelet transformation. The void fluctuated, and a huge monster rose from the ground. This monster was extremely terrifying. It had 9 heads, and each of them was extremely ferocious. The murderous aura on it was as if the Demon King was reborn. Ancient vicious beast, 9-headed snakelet. It was extremely brutal. This was the 5th transformation of the 9 transformations of the firmament. At this moment, it was executed by Lin Xian. It could be said to be extremely terrifying. The 9-headed snakelet swung its 9 gigantic heads. 3 of them roared angrily, spewing out flames, lightning, and hailstones. Immediately, they bombarded the attacks of the 3 hall masters in the sky. Rumble. The void trembled as energy exploded. Violent energy swept out in all directions. This energy was too violent. Even the Hall Master found it hard to resist. Instantly, the 3 Hall Masters were blasted back. Lin Xian, on the other hand, remained as still as a mountain. He activated the cosmic battle armor to the extreme. This battle armor could defend against 7 layers of damage. Therefore, even if this energy was violent, he could still withstand it. Joingo! Lin Xian's body moved like lightning. He controlled the huge 9-headed snakelet and quickly counterattacked. Immediately, the other 3 heads roared ferociously and turned into demonic hands, biting toward the 3 Hall Masters. The 3 heads moved as fast as lightning and appeared in front of the Hall Master in an instant. They opened their bloody mouths, and their sharp teeth bit through the Hall Master's armor. Ah! No, I won't die. Damn it, get lost! Brat, you dare to kill me? The pink aristocratic family will not let you off. Shrill cries rang out. However, in the next moment, the bodies of the 3 Hall Masters suddenly split open and were bitten into countless pieces. At this point, the 7 Supreme Talents and 6 Hall Masters were completely annihilated. Not a single one of them survived. What? They're all dead. Impossible, I don't believe it. Below, the martial artists of the Black Dragon sect were horrified and filled with despair. 6 Hall Masters, including the Azura Hall Master and the Southern Wilderness City Governor. There were 8 people at the level of Hall Masters. They were the most solid force of the Black Dragon sect. However, at this moment, they had been completely annihilated. This was definitely going to pierce through the sky. The Black Dragon sect would definitely be infuriated and retaliate crazily. However, Lin Xian did not care about this at all. He stood in the sky and looked down at the martial artists of the Black Dragon sect who were escaping below. His face was extremely cold, after which he activated his ice martial soul. Countless cold air spread out and quickly shrouded the area below. Ka. Below, the Southern Wilderness ancient town quickly formed ice. In an instant, a frozen ancient town was formed and all the buildings and martial artists were frozen inside. In the next moment, Lin Xian called out to Murong Qingqing, the falling ice mountain, and the crimson dragon. The group flew into the sky. Only the frozen ancient town was left, shining with cold light under the sun. Soon, Lin Xian and the group left the place and arrived at the spirit boat high in the sky. Then the crimson dragon drove the spirit boat and left the Southern Wilderness ancient town. Lin Xian rested for a day. On the second day, he took out the Blood Soul Stone and quickly absorbed it to increase his blood chi and soul power. This time, he had killed so many Hall Masters and martial artists of the Black Dragon sect. The Black Dragon sect would definitely go crazy and hunt them down. Therefore, he had to increase his strength to deal with the danger when the time came. The others were fine, but the Black Dragon sect's leader was a king. He was extremely terrifying. Lin Xian thought as he absorbed the Blood Soul Stone. This Blood Soul Stone was very mysterious. Lin Xian held it in his hand and absorbed it continuously. The blood chi in his body was rolling like a big furnace, making rumbling sounds. Even outside the room, there was a red light shining. That was the sign of Lin Xian's vigorous blood chi. His soul power was also increasing bit by bit. He tried the 6th diagram of the sky spill visualization diagram. Although he did not succeed, he had made great progress compared to before. After cultivating for a day, Lin Xian adjusted his state to the peak. Then he called the Crimson Dragon, Murong Qingqing, and Luo Bingshan. The 4 sat together. Then Lin Xian took out the 3 mysterious crystals he had obtained. Look, do you recognize this thing? Murong Qingqing, Crimson Dragon, and Luo Bingshan were very curious. Each of them picked up a mysterious crystal and carefully examined it. Such rich energy! The Crimson Dragon's eyes lit up. His mouth was so wide that it reached his ears. Morong Ching was also surprised. No wonder those people's cultivation could increase so much. It seemed that this mysterious crystal was indeed extraordinary. It actually contained such rich energy. Luo Bingshan was also moved. She thought carefully for a moment, then shook her head slightly. I've never seen this thing before. Moreover, it shouldn't be in the Tianmu continent. Otherwise, it would have been discovered long ago. Kid, you have 3. Why don't you give them all to me? And Hong Dragon God was reluctant to let go. You dare to absorb this energy? Aren't you afraid of the side effects? Lin Xian asked. Didn't you say that if you found these mysterious crystals, you would be able to unlock the secret of the demon abyss? Hearing this, the Crimson Dragon pondered for a moment, then said slowly, These mysterious crystals shouldn't have been taken from the demon abyss. They were man-made. What? You said they were man-made? What's with the demon abyss? Lin Xian was even more confused. Chapter 1396. Kid, let's put it this way. I've heard of this crystal before. It's called the Subdivine Crystal. It contains a terrifying amount of energy, but it's only for people above the king realm. The Subdivine Crystal is very mysterious. It can strengthen the king realm and make it evolve. That's why it's so precious. And this mysterious crystal has very little of this energy. It's obviously diluted. So, I guess that the Black Dragon sect must have obtained the Subdivine Crystal. But they used the Subdivine Crystal to create countless energy crystals, which are the stones in your hands. These stones are useless to King Realm people. But if people below the King Realm absorb them, they can greatly increase their cultivation. That's why there are so many venerables in the Black Dragon sect. So, you're saying that the treasure in the Devil Abyss is the Subdivine Crystal? Lin Xian asked. That's right. It's definitely the Subdivine Crystal. If this news spread to the Sky Martial continent, it would definitely make the House of Kings go crazy. Lin Xian was shocked. Then he frowned. If the Black Dragon sect's leader obtained the Subdivine Crystal, wouldn't his strength increase greatly? No, he had to enter the Devil Abyss and obtain the Subdivine Crystal. At least, he couldn't let the Black Dragon sect get this precious thing. Then, if I absorb the energy in the crystal, will there be any side effects? Lin Xian asked. If there wasn't, he could directly absorb it and increase his cultivation. He was looking forward to it. He wondered how much he could increase after absorbing it. However, the Crimson Dragon poured cold water on him. There will be side effects. What did you say? Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. You dare to absorb it when there are side effects? The Crimson Dragon snorted. Kid, I'm different from you. I'm a real king realm. It's just that my cultivation has dropped, but my realm is still there. But you're different. No matter how strong you are, you're just a venerables. You've never condensed a domain. Let me tell you, although absorbing the energy of the Subdivine Crystal can greatly increase the cultivation of people below the king realm, their path will come to an end. Because they can't condense a king domain in their lifetime and can't become a king realm. What? How could such a thing happen? Lin Xian was shocked. Morong Ching also threw away the mysterious crystal in his hand. You don't have to be surprised. This kind of crystal is meant for kings to use. Anyone below the king level won't benefit from using it. Although one's cultivation base will immediately rise greatly after absorbing it, one's martial path will be severed. I can guarantee that after absorbing it, your strength will definitely increase greatly. However, you will never be able to condense a king's domain in this lifetime, let alone reach a higher level. Hearing this, Lin Xian fell silent. This was not what he wanted. At this time, the Crimson Dragon said again, But you don't have to be too discouraged. Although you won't be able to use it for the time being, you can keep it and use it when you become a king. Then, everything will be fine. However, It isn't very effective against King Realm experts. But if it's a true subdivine crystal, then King Realm experts would definitely go mad upon seeing it. So we have to make a trip to the Devil Abyss. Lin Xian took a deep breath. In order to reach the King Realm in the future, he had to make a trip to the Devil Abyss. After all, the Martial Sky Continent didn't have such a thing, and other places might not have it either. It could be said that they were extremely lucky to have encountered it. Let's go to the Devil Abyss. Lin Xian tossed the 3 mysterious crystals to the Crimson Dragon for it to recover. He couldn't absorb it now, and he wouldn't need it when he became a king. So he wouldn't keep it. If he wanted to keep it, he would keep the true subdivine crystal and not this diluted crystal. After that, the group set off towards the Devil Abyss once more. The death of the 7 Hall Masters wasn't a small matter, so it didn't take long for the Black Dragon sect to find out. For a time, the entire Black Dragon sect was shaken and countless experts gathered to discuss it. Even the 3rd Guardian, who was in closed-door cultivation, came out ahead of time. What's going on? The 3rd Guardian was a middle-aged man. After he came out, he looked at the 2nd Guardian with a gloomy expression. Don't be in closed-door cultivation. Something big has happened in the Saint sect, and we need you there immediately, the 2nd Guardian said. Something big has happened? What is it? The 3rd Guardian asked. The Hall Masters of the 7 Halls have been killed in the Southern Desolation ancient town. Not only that, none of the martial artists in the Southern Desolation ancient town have escaped. In fact, even that city was turned into an ice crystal palace, and the murderer actually called himself Hua Wufeng, your disciple. What? Hua Wufeng? Hearing this, the 3rd Guardian was shocked. He didn't expect such a big thing to happen. However, he quickly shook his head. What a joke! How could I not know Hua Wufeng's strength? He's only an 8th level honorable, and he's even weaker than the geniuses in the hall. Not to mention killing those hall masters. Don't worry, we think so too. Someone must have impersonated Hua Wufeng, but we still need you to confirm the details. All right, let's go. The 3rd Guardian nodded, and the 2 of them left quickly. At the same time, the news of the Nether Hall's destruction reached the Black Dragon sect. Instantly, the upper echelons of the Black Dragon sect were shocked again. How was it possible that an entire hall had been wiped out? One should know that the Black Dragon sect had already controlled the entire Tianan region. They could be considered an overlord, and no one dared to offend them. Even the Martial Alliance could only resort to guerrilla warfare. They didn't dare to fight them head-on. However, now, 8 of their halls had been destroyed, and they were the last to find out. This was too shocking. The other party was only a 20-year-old youth, but his combat strength was terrifying. He was at least at the Guardian's level or even stronger. Who exactly is he? Why haven't I heard of him before? Could he be from the Martial Alliance? Impossible. If the Martial Alliance is so powerful, they would have retaliated long ago. They wouldn't have waited until now. Moreover, the Martial Alliance hasn't done anything. Could it be that a person who was lucky enough to obtain the subdivine crystal and absorb the energy inside it to become so powerful? The 3rd Guardian said in a deep voice. He was now sure that the murderer wasn't his disciple, Hua Wufeng, but someone impersonating him. That's possible. Otherwise, there's no way to explain where this powerhouse came from. What should we do? Report it. The sect leader will decide what to do. The group of elders and guardians looked solemn. However, before long there was another shocking news. There was a mutation in the demon abyss, and a king-level beast appeared. A king-level beast. Everyone was shocked to hear that. Chapter 1397. However, it didn't take long for another shocking piece of news to spread. The demonic abyss had mutated, and a king-level demonic beast had appeared. A king-level demonic beast. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. One had to know that in the entire Tianan region, only their leader was a king-level demonic beast. However, another one had appeared. It seemed that something unexpected had happened in the mysterious demonic abyss to cause such an anomaly. Quickly report this to the leader. There's no need. The leader has already set off, and the left and right envoys have also followed. The first protector said, "What should we do? Should we go too?" The third protector asked, "For protectors, come with me. The rest of you, activate the defensive formation and guard the sect. We can't let anyone take advantage of this situation." In the past, they didn't care at all. They didn't even care about the martial alliance. However, it was different now. A mysterious youth with extremely strong battle strength had appeared. If they all left at this time and the other party entered, it would definitely be an unimaginable disaster. However, as long as the formation was activated, it would be fine. This formation was personally set up by their leader. No one below the king level could break it. Soon, the four protectors moved and flew towards the Xia kingdom. On the other side, Lin Xian was also moving forward at an extremely fast speed. Of course, he still didn't know that the demonic abyss had mutated. However, something had happened during this period of time. The Crimson Dragon's cultivation had recovered to the half-step king level. This was undoubtedly good news for Lin Xian. The Crimson Dragon's breakthrough to the half-step king level was undoubtedly great news for Lin Xian. This way, their chances of entering the demonic abyss were much higher. At this time, the mysterious demonic abyss had already undergone earth-shattering changes. The surrounding 10 miles was completely covered in a layer of thick fog. Above this thick fog stood 3 figures. The figure at the front was extremely tall, more than 3 meters tall. He wore a black robe and had many black scales on his cold face. His eyes were dark green and flickered with a terrifying light. The aura on his body was extremely terrifying. It had reached a peak, causing all the venerables to tremble when they saw him. He was the leader of the Black Dragon sect and also the only king-level demonic beast in the Tianan region. However, this was no longer the case because another king-level demonic beast had appeared below. Behind him stood 2 middle-aged men, one in a white robe and the other in a green robe. Although their auras were not comparable to that of the Black Dragon Church's sect master, they were much stronger than pinnacle 9th rank exalted experts. The 2 of them were the left and right envoys of the Black Dragon sect. They were existences second only to the Black Dragon sect's leader. At this moment, the left and right envoys stood respectfully behind him. They looked down with furrowed brows. This was because an extremely shocking aura was coming from below, causing them to feel a sense of trepidation. They knew that this was an aura that only king tiers could emit. When did the king demonic beast appear? At this moment, the Black Dragon cult's leader asked in a deep voice. 2 days ago, the Green Flood Dragon left envoy said that because the Nether Hall was destroyed, we received the news late. The carefree envoy of the right also asked, Sect Master, who is it that dares to kill so many of our hall masters? The people from the Martial League don't have such strength at all. Could it be that there are also people like the demonic beast below who obtain benefits from this mysterious demonic pit? No matter who it is, I will make them pay a painful price for daring to touch my people. The Black Dragon cult's leader snorted coldly. His words were filled with intense killing intent. As soon as he said this, the left and right envoys trembled. Countless cracks rapidly appeared in the space around them, spreading in all directions. It was too terrifying. This was the strength of a king tier. Just a cold snort was enough to cause the space to explode. If the Black Dragon cult's leader wanted to deal with a 9th rank exalted expert, he did not even need to lift a finger. He could kill them with just a look. There was no time to care about that brat now. He had to figure out the changes in the demonic pit first. Then the Black Dragon cult's leader's body swayed and quickly descended. The left and right envoys followed closely behind. However, when they were about 3,000 meters above the ground, a deep roar suddenly came from the demonic pit below. Then, a red figure flew out from the ground, quickly. Red light flashed, and boundless killing intent surged. An arm that was close to 3,000 meters long rose from the ground and quickly grabbed at the Black Dragon cult's leader and the left and right envoys. This arm was too terrifying. It was like a blood-red river that instantly pierced through the space. Humph! The Black Dragon cult's leader coldly snorted and quickly grabbed forward with his hand, fiercely colliding with the red hand flying out from the ground. Immediately, an intense explosion sounded in the sky. Countless energy ripples spread out in all directions, and countless cracks appeared in the space. The ground below also cracked open, forming numerous canyons. The left and right envoys behind him were blown away by this berserk energy. They were blown away for 5,000 meters before they could stop. Damn it! What kind of monster is this? It's actually so terrifying. The two of them were shocked. With their strength as half-step kings, they were actually unable to block the energy ripples. Fortunately, their cult's leader had blocked it. Moreover, it looked like he had blocked it easily. This made them heave a sigh of relief. Their bodies swayed, and the two of them once again arrived behind the Black Dragon cult's leader. At this time, the Red Hand also rapidly retreated and confronted the Black Dragon cult's leader from afar. Not only that, a deep roar came from below from time to time. It seemed to be a warning. The two of you retreat and seal the demonic pit for me. I'll go and teach that bastard a lesson. The Black Dragon cult's leader said in a deep voice. Then his body swayed, and he transformed into a huge black dragon and rushed down. The unknown monster below also roared angrily. Once again, it waved its arm that was almost 3,000 meters long and quickly grabbed at the Black Dragon cult's leader. Immediately, a terrifying explosion sounded. Violent energy rippled out, and a storm quickly swept out in all directions. The left and right envoys looked at each other and quickly retreated. The two of them waved their hands, forming two huge light screens that sealed off the surrounding paths and prevented anyone from entering. Not long after the two of them finished, Lin Xian's spirit boat also arrived nearby. Although they had not reached the demonic pit yet, Lin Xian and the others could feel an extremely terrifying energy ripple from afar. Someone is fighting. Lin Xian frowned. This terrifying aura is far more powerful than ours. Murong Qingqing's expression was also grave. On the other hand, Anhong jumped up and said, D*Eminent, this is a battle between kings. Damn it, 2 kings. When did 2 kings appear? He was too shocked. Wasn't there only one Black Dragon cult's leader in the Tianan region? How come there was another one now? What? 2 kings? Chapter 1398. The Crimson Dragon jumped up. D*Eminent, kings are fighting. D*Eminent, 2 kings. How is this possible? Since when were there 2 kings? It was too shocked. Wasn't there only one Black Dragon sect leader in the Tianan region who was a king? Why was there another one now? What? 2 kings? Hearing this, Lin Xian, Murong Qingqing, and Luo Bingshan were all stunned. They did not expect 2 kings to be fighting. No wonder there were such terrifying energy waves. What's going on? One of the energy waves is very familiar. It should be the Black Dragon sect leader. But who is fighting him? Could it be the legendary Martial Alliance? It's not human. Judging from the energy, it should be a beast. The Crimson Dragon shook its head. I think it should be a new king, but I'm not sure why. But I think it must be related to the real Sub-Divinity crystal. Although they guessed the reason, their expressions did not look good. Because there were 2 kings fighting in front of them, they could not enter at all. With their skills, they were still unable to compete with kings. It was good enough that they could protect themselves. No, the spiritual boat can't go any further. Lin Xian stopped the spiritual boat. Ruzalong, come with me. I'll go too. Murong Qingcheng and Ruo Bingshan said quickly. All right. Lin Xian did not refuse and nodded. They were only scouting the situation, so it should not be too dangerous. Then Lin Xian and the rest got off the spiritual boat. He still had the 3 5-star assassins stay on the boat and let them drive away. There was no choice. Kings were too terrifying, and there were 2 of them. If they were found, the Lin family in the spiritual boat would be in danger. Lin Xian did not dare to take this risk. Seeing the spiritual boat fly away, Lin Xian was relieved. Then his eyes flashed as he looked ahead. Everyone, hide your auras, Lin Xian said. Then he used the heaven-changing technique to hide his energy and carefully flew forward. Everyone cautiously flew towards the Devil Abyss. Not long after, they stopped because they saw a light screen in front of them that blocked their path. It seemed that someone had acted to seal the demonic abyss. The Crimson Dragon took a look and said quickly, "It's okay. It's not a king. We should be able to get through." Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief when he heard that. Right now, he didn't want to fight the 2 kings inside. The Crimson Dragon waved its claws and quickly broke the light curtain in front of it. Then a red light flew out and wrapped Lin Xian, Luo Bingshan and Murong Qingqing, and quickly entered the light array. Whoosh! In the next moment, Lin Xian and the others were stunned because an intense battle was taking place in front of them. There was a black-robed man with a domineering figure. There was a black dragon phantom on his body, and there was a thick black fire around him, forming a special domain. The aura he emitted was countless times stronger than that of a venerable one. Lin Xian knew that it was the black fire domain, the so-called king's domain. That black-robed man must be the leader of the Black Dragon religion. The leader of the Black Dragon religion was fighting with 9 blood-red arms that stretched out from the demonic abyss below. Each arm was more than 3,000 meters long, like a river of blood, and they kept waving in the air. The leader of the Black Dragon religion and the 9 blood-red arms fought crazily. The terrifying energy was so vast that it could easily kill a peak stage 9. Lin Xian and the others came back to their senses and carefully floated down. Since the 2 kings were fighting, it would be convenient for them to search the demonic abyss. However, they were discovered as soon as they moved. "Who's there?" The leader of the Black Dragon religion snorted and waved his hand. Countless black dragon flames quickly gathered and formed a black palm that grabbed at Lin Xian and the others. The palm carried the power of a king, and it made one feel despair at a glance. The king demonic beast below also noticed the existence of Lin Xian and the others. It quickly waved an arm and grabbed at them. "Not good, retreat." Lin Xian's expression changed drastically. He did not expect the king demonic beast to be so powerful that it could discover their existence in an instant. Next, he used the Red Lotus armor and summoned the Starry Armor. The 2 armors surged out and wrapped around his body. Murong Qingqing was also covered with a layer of starry armor. The 4 of them turned into streaks of light and retreated quickly. However, the king demonic beast was too terrifying. It caught up with them with a casual attack. "Don't hesitate, attack!" The Crimson Dragon shouted coldly. Then it swung its dragon tail and launched a sharp attack. Lin Xian also formed a seal and used the 9 infants transformation. The 9 heads roared ferociously and spat out flames, lightning, hailstones, fog, and countless other attacks in front of them. Luo Bingshan's expression was cold. He held a long saber in his hand and slashed out a shocking saber light. Murong Qingqing took out the True Phoenix Imperial Jade Seal and combined it with his bloodline power to create a purple phoenix. The 4 of them used their ultimate moves and attacked the king demonic beast. Bang! Terrifying energy exploded, and a storm of energy blasted the four of them, sending them flying. The Crimson Dragon was still fine. He was already a half-step king. Moreover, his life force was also at the king realm. Therefore, he only cried out in pain and did not suffer any injuries. However, Lin Xian's group was not so lucky. Lin Xian and Morong Qingqing both had starry armor that could reduce 70% of the damage. Lin Xian even had the Red Lotus armor that could reduce 80% of the damage. However, the remaining 20% was not something they could contend with. In an instant, the two of them suffered heavy internal injuries. Luo Bingshan was even more miserable. She did not have starry armor, only a half-step earth armor. Therefore, her injuries were the most severe. In fact, she had almost died. Let's go! The Crimson Dragon's body expanded, wrapping around Lin Xian's group and rapidly retreating. Not dead. Behind them, the Black Dragon Hierarch frowned, clearly surprised by this result. It should be known that although it was just a casual attack, he was still a King Realm expert. Even Venerables could not block such an attack. However, the other party was unharmed. This was indeed beyond his expectations. What made him even more puzzled was that he felt a familiar aura from the other party. However, he could not recall it for the time being. Who the hell are those people? They are clearly only Venerables. How could they dodge my attack? The Black Dragon Hierarch's gaze was like lightning as he looked into the distance. However, he found that his vision was blocked and he could only see a blur. In the next moment, he coldly snorted and wanted to attack again. However, he was once again entangled by the crimson monster below, and the two sides engaged in a fierce battle. Therefore, he could only send a voice transmission to the nearby left and right messengers to capture the other party. He would ask them when he had the time. When the left and right messengers received the order, their expressions changed drastically. Chapter 1399. This was because they had not sensed anyone entering at all. However, the other party had actually gone in, which made them extremely surprised. Fortunately, the sect leader was extremely powerful and was able to discover the other party. Otherwise, if the other party had secretly obtained the Subdivinity crystal, they would have committed a great sin. Their faces were gloomy as they quickly attacked, trying their best to find the Crimson Dragon and the others. Where are you going? Stay here. Soon, the two discovered Lin Xian and the others and quickly attacked. A beam of green light lit up. Like a green python, it quickly streaked across the sky and charged towards Lin Xian and the others. Rumble! The Crimson Dragon swung its tail and slapped the sky, directly blocking the green Flood Dragon's shadow. However, the right emissary also attacked on the other side. A blade light lit up like cold iron, shining brightly in the void. A terrifying and boundless power quickly enveloped Lin Xian and the others. The two emissaries were both half-step kings. At this moment, they attacked at the same time, and the power was extremely terrifying. In an instant, the entire void exploded. This power was too terrifying. Even a ninth heaven venerable would not be able to resist it. Lin Xian snorted coldly and crazily activated the great dragon sword soul in his body, erupting with unparalleled fighting strength. He pulled out the Lone Star sword and continuously waved it in the air. Suddenly, a huge sword light fell from the sky, as if it was going to cut the sky in half. At the same time, his palms were constantly forming seals. Qiong Qi, Tianpeng, and Di Jiang, three huge figures appeared in the sky and roared rapidly. Lin Xian's black hair fluttered as he raised his fighting strength to the extreme. Rumble! Terrifying energy exploded, but it blocked the attacks of the two half-step kings. What? How is this possible? The left and right emissaries were shocked. One had to know that they were half-step kings, and their strength was extremely terrifying. Venerable realm martial artists could not contend with them at all. Although there was a half-step king crimson dragon on the other side, the other youth was only a venerable realm martial artist. However, he was still able to resist their attacks. It was simply too inconceivable. Just as they were stunned, the crimson dragon wrapped everyone and turned into a red light, instantly disappearing into the horizon. Damn it! Damn it! When the left and right messengers saw this scene, their faces instantly darkened as they roared continuously. However, they didn't chase after him in the end. On the other side, the crimson dragon and the others flew quickly with Lin Xian and finally returned to the spirit boat. Puff! Luo Bingshan spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was abnormally pale. The attacks from the two kings had caused him to suffer heavy injuries. Murong Qingqing's jade-like face was also deathly pale, and her entire person seemed incomparably dispirited. Damn it, I was too careless. I didn't expect two kings to be so terrifying. Lin Xian's face was gloomy as he suppressed the injuries in his body. He quickly took out some spirit pills and fed them to the two of them. Fortunately, he had many spirit pills and miraculous medicines in his possession that were able to suppress their injuries. Otherwise, if it was anyone else, they would probably not be able to leave alive. After feeding Murong Qingqing and Luo Bingshan a large amount of elixirs, Lin Xian sent them to a secret room to rest. Then he himself went to a secret room and went into seclusion. This time, they had experienced the terror of a king. Although it was only one attack, it was not something they could withstand. Fortunately, they had the starry sky armor. Otherwise, they would have been in danger this time. No, I have to improve my strength. I have to improve my strength. Lin Xian clenched his fists. Although he was now in the supremacy realm and a peak 9th level supremacy could not contend against him, it was still not enough. Once he encountered a true king, he would not be able to fight back at all. Today was a very good proof. However, he was unwilling. He would not give in. He wanted power. Otherwise, he would not be able to obtain the subdivine crystal at all. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Lin Xian swallowed a few spirit pills and quickly recovered from his injuries. Fortunately, he had many spirit pills in his possession. Moreover, the longevity incantation was extremely magical and could greatly increase his recovery speed. Moreover, during this period of time, he had been cultivating the Furious Dragon Mantra, causing his qi and blood to be vigorous and his vitality to be extremely strong. Therefore, he recovered very quickly. In just one day, he had recovered from all the injuries on his body. If other supremacies saw this scene, their jaws would definitely drop. One had to know that that was the attack of a king. If it was anyone else, it would probably take them a year and a half to completely recover. As for Lin Xian, it only took him a day to completely recover. After recovering his body, Lin Xian did not immediately come out. Instead, he continued to cultivate and adjusted his state to its peak. Then he took out the Blood Soul Stone and crazily absorbed it. Not only that, he was also multitasking. While absorbing the power of the Blood Soul Stone, he was also increasing the speed at which he absorbed the sea god ice. There was no other way. He had to cultivate with all his might and break through to the 9th level of the supremacy realm as soon as possible. Otherwise, he would not be able to enter the demon abyss if he was not strong enough. While Lin Xian was cultivating, the battle in the demon abyss was still ongoing. The two kings fought until the sky was dark. But in the end, they realized that neither of them could do anything to the other. The Black Dragon Sect leader's face was terrifyingly gloomy. He remembered that half a year ago, there were no such terrifying monsters below. But in just half a year, a king-level monster had appeared. Moreover, its strength was not weaker than his at all. This made him so angry that he went crazy. With the king-level monster below, he could not enter the demon abyss again, let alone obtain the subdivine crystal. Humph! The Black Dragon Sect leader snorted coldly and sat cross-legged above the demon abyss. As he cultivated and recovered, he thought about how to enter the demon abyss below to snatch the subdivine crystal. The king-level monster below did not attack again. Instead, it withdrew its 9 arms that were more than 3,000 meters long. However, although it did not attack, it still looked around vigilantly, especially the Black Dragon sect leader who was above the Sky Palace. The left and right envoys who were wandering around were even more careful. Not only that, the 4 protectors of the Black Dragon sect had also rushed over. They were also careful in their defense. Last time, the enemy had sneaked in without anyone noticing, which made them extremely alarmed. Therefore, this time they were especially careful and absolutely did not allow anyone to disturb them. On the other side, the Crimson Dragon returned once again. This time, it also brought the snow-white little monkey. The 2 of them secretly sneaked nearby. He wanted to use the power of Little White's treasure bowl to see if he could directly steal the subdivine crystal. Woo, gee, the snow-white little monkey hugged the small bowl and kept casting spells. However, it did not succeed this time. This made Little White scratch its ears and cheeks anxiously and stomp its feet. Alas, it really didn't work. The Crimson Dragon also sighed. This result was not too surprising. After all, the demon abyss in front of them was covered by a king's domain. Little White had not entered the king realm yet, so it was probably unable to steal anything from the king's domain. Forget it, let's go back. The Crimson Dragon's figure flashed and brought the snow-white little monkey back. For a moment, the demon abyss calmed down, but the atmosphere was incomparably heavy. The entire southern heaven region fell into a state of silence. Chapter 1400. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, an extremely powerful aura suddenly erupted from somewhere high up in the sky of Xia country. It was like a volcanic eruption. However, the aura quickly disappeared. It was emitted by Lin Xian. Over the past 10 days, he had successfully absorbed the energy in the Blood Soul Stone and half of the Sea God's Ice's energy. This allowed his cultivation to break through again and reach the 9th level of the Venerable Realm. After entering the 9th level of the Venerable Realm, Lin Xian's strength had improved greatly in all aspects, especially his combat strength. It was several times stronger than before. Right now, Venerable Realm martial artists were no longer his match. Even half-step kings might not necessarily be his match. Sensing Lin Xian's breakthrough, everyone came out. Among them, Murong Qingqing had already recovered from his injuries after 10 days of recuperation. Luo Bingshan's face was still a little pale, but his life was no longer in danger. "You've broken through?" Murong Qingqing asked. 9th level of the Venerable Realm. Lin Xian nodded and heaved a sigh of relief. He had done his best in the past 10 days. However, the Crimson Dragon sighed. "Although I've broken through and my strength has increased greatly, I still can't defeat a King Realm warrior." It couldn't be helped. The King Realm and the Venerable Realm were 2 different realms. It could be said that one was in the sky and the other was on the ground. No matter how amazing a genius was, it was impossible for a Venerable Realm warrior to fight a King Realm warrior. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. Rizalong was right. Once one entered the King Realm, one's life and strength would change. It was not something a Venerable Realm warrior could contend against. Moreover, a King Realm warrior also had a King Realm, which was extremely terrifying. Unless one had the help of a King Realm warrior's remnant soul, like last time in the remote Sky Secret Realm, it was possible to contend against a King Realm warrior. It was really impossible under other circumstances. Even if Lin Xian used the 10,000 bee sting, he couldn't do it. Although the 10,000 bee sting was a complete Earth rank artifact, with Lin Xian's current strength, he couldn't unleash the true power of the 10,000 bee sting. "Sai, I'm so angry. If my strength was still present, then how could I possibly allow those 2 fellows who just entered the King Realm to act arrogantly? I would have sent them flying with a single slap." The Crimson Dragon was very depressed. One had to know that he could beat up the leader of the Black Dragon cult before. You guys should rest on the spirit boat. I'll go out with Roussillon and see if there's any other way. Lin Xian said to Murong Qingqing. All right, be careful. Don't ever provoke a king again, Murong Qingqing said with concern. Don't worry, I'm not that stupid. Lin Xian smiled and left the spirit boat state with the Crimson Dragon. When the two were far away, the Crimson Dragon asked excitedly, Boy, do you have an idea? I do have an idea, but I don't know if it will work. Lin Xian took a deep breath and his eyes shone brightly. There is an idea, but I don't know if it will work. But we have to try no matter what, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. What is it? Tell me quickly. The Crimson Dragon said anxiously, because until now, he still hadn't thought of a way to deal with the king. Have you forgotten about the king's slaughter formation? Lin Xian said. What? You want to use the king's slaughter formation? The Crimson Dragon was shocked when he heard Lin Xian. That's a life-saving item. If you use it now, what will you do in the future? We'll talk about the future in the future. At most, we'll leave the Southern Heaven region after we obtain the sub-god crystal scripture. Lin Xian's voice was firm. In any case, he had to obtain the sub-god crystal this time. After all, if he missed this opportunity, he probably wouldn't be able to find it again. Indeed, the sub-god crystal was extremely precious. Even the Martial Sky continent didn't have it, let alone other places. Perhaps this was his only chance. Therefore, Lin Xian didn't want to give up. Damn, if I knew this would happen, I would have arranged a few more kings' slaughter formations. The Crimson Dragon stomped his feet in anger. He didn't think that the current situation would be so troublesome. One king's slaughter formation was clearly not enough. There's no use complaining. Moreover, one king's slaughter formation has already used up the materials we prepared. Even if you want to make a second one, there won't be any materials left. Lin Xian said. What we need to do now is to determine the location of the sub-god crystal as much as possible. We have to get it in one strike. After all, the king's slaughter formation won't be able to last for long. We have to maximize its effectiveness. The two of them conversed as they flew. Finally, they arrived at the vicinity of the Devil Abyss. There's more people? The Crimson Dragon scanned with his soul force and discovered that there were 4 more people. Yes, judging from their auras, they should be the 4 great protectors of the Black Dragon cult. Lin Xian's gaze was piercingly cold. Now that the 8 great hall masters had been killed by him, the auras of the 4 people in front of him were even stronger than the 8 great hall masters. Clearly, they were the 4 great protectors. He didn't expect that other than the left and right emissaries, there would be another 4 great protectors. It seemed that the Black Dragon cult's leader was determined to get the sub-god crystal. Roussillon, think of a way to make the 2 kings fight again. Otherwise, we won't have a chance. Lin Xian observed for a while and quickly said, Indeed, the 2 kings hadn't moved yet. If they made a move now, it would definitely attract the attention of the 2 kings. At that time, it would be difficult for them to escape. Therefore, if they wanted to take advantage of the situation, they had to make the 2 kings fight first. At that time, the 2 kings inside wouldn't have the energy to care about them. The best plan was to use the king's slaughter formation to enter the Devil Abyss below. That's easy. Leave it to me. The Crimson Dragon quickly waved his dragon claws. Although he hadn't fully recovered his strength, it was still easy for him to make the 2 kings fight. A terrifying divine dragon's aura gushed out and turned into a huge dragon figure that quickly charged into the Devil Abyss below. Although this attack wasn't powerful enough, from the aura, those who didn't know would think that it was an attack from a king. It seemed that the Crimson Dragon had a plan. Indeed, when the king monster below saw the huge dragon figure, he immediately roared in all directions. That roar was filled with anger, and he quickly counterattacked. Boom! 9 terrifying arms instantly flew out from below like a blood-red river and grabbed at the sky. The huge dragon figure that the Crimson Dragon used was similar to the Black Dragon cult's leader's aura. They both had dragon's aura. Therefore, the king monster below thought that the Black Dragon cult's leader had attacked again. This made it furious. It naturally knew that the other party had come to steal the sub-god crystal. However, it wouldn't let the other party succeed no matter what. Therefore, this time, it launched a fierce counterattack. The 9 arms waved and tore apart the huge dragon figure that the Crimson Dragon had unleashed. Then it charged at the Black Dragon cult's leader in an extremely violent manner. Wang, the Black Dragon cult's leader, suddenly opened his eyes. 2 terrifying rays of light shot out from his green eyes and shattered the void in front of him. Chapter 1401. Thank you, my dear reader. Please support me. Please subscribe. Buzz, the Black Dragon sect leader, suddenly opened his eyes. 2 terrifying beams of light shot out from his emerald eyes, shattering the void in front of him. He had naturally sensed the giant dragon's shadow and knew that someone was trying to sow discord between them. Their goal was to make him fight with the king demonic beast below so that they could reap the benefits. Needless to say, it was the group of people who had escaped earlier. Instantly he snorted coldly. So what if he fought with the king demonic beast below? Did those people really think that they could enter the demonic abyss below? They're too naive. One had to know that there was a king domain in the demonic abyss below. Even he did not dare to go down there easily, let alone a few supremacies. Thinking of this, he quickly sent a voice transmission to the left and right messengers and the 4 great protectors to quickly find the other party. Meanwhile, he moved quickly and dodged the attack of the 9 arms. Then he stood in the air, his black robe fluttering. His eyes were as sharp as swords, and his body emitted the terrifying aura of a king. Terrifying energy surged, shaking the surroundings. In the next moment, he raised his palm, and countless black dragon flames gathered to form a black fire dragon. The 2 kings fought again. The left and right messengers and the 4 great protectors received the order to quickly search for the other party. At the same time, they set up a formation to completely cover the surroundings. This time, they absolutely could not allow anyone to enter. Who is it? Who are you hiding there sneakily? Come out. Soon, the left and right messengers shouted coldly. Their voices were like thunder, sweeping through all the rooms. Humph. Lin Xian snorted coldly and descended from the sky. This time he did not conceal himself because he wanted to deal with the people in front of him here. Who are you? The left and right messengers and the 4 great protectors saw the figure in front of them and immediately became alert. The person who wants your lives. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He quickly pulled out the Lone Star sword and strode forward. Go, kill him. The left green dragon envoy shouted coldly. However, he did not attack. Instead, one of the 4 great protectors behind him smiled maliciously and walked out quickly. He was the 4th great protector, and his cultivation had reached the peak of the 9th heaven realm. Brat, I don't care who you are. Since you dare to come here, then die. The 4th protector grinned maliciously as he raised his palm and slapped out swiftly. Boom! A resplendent light blossomed from his palm. As he waved his hand, the sound of wind and thunder was deafening. This attack was terrifying. Ordinary venerable ones would not be able to resist it at all. However, Lin Xian was different. His battle prowess had already surpassed that of a 9th heaven venerable. Moreover, he had just broken through, and his strength had increased greatly again. It could be said that he was invincible in the venerable realm. Lin Xian didn't even try to dodge his opponent's attack. Instead, he roared and raised his fist to meet the attack. Whoosh! Wrapped in a terrifying cold air, This fist ruthlessly collided with the opponent's palm. Suddenly, an extremely terrifying energy burst out, shaking the entire space. Boom! His voice shook the heavens and waves of energy rolled out. They were like ocean waves, reaching 100 jang high as they spread out in all directions. However, as soon as these air waves had the courage, a layer of blue ice crystals condensed and froze them in the void like ice sculptures. No. The fourth protector also screamed in agony. His palm exploded, revealing eerie white bones. He roared crazily as his pupils constricted in disbelief. His opponent's cultivation was only at the 9th heaven, which was inferior to his. However, this punch was too terrifying. It directly exploded his palm. D***, who is he? What kind of power is this? The fourth protector's scalp went numb as he quickly retreated. However, as soon as he moved, countless ice crystals formed on his body as if they were going to freeze him into an ice cube. Get lost! The fourth protector roared angrily as a majestic energy burst out from his body. His entire body was glowing, forming materialized sword and saber radiance that rushed in all directions, trying to shatter the ice on his body. However, no matter how he resisted, it was useless. Soon his body was frozen by the ice. Even the chi and blood in his body were frozen into ice cubes. His entire body turned into an ice sculpture, and he instantly stopped breathing. What? How is this possible? Behind him, the 3 protectors and the left and right messengers were shocked when they saw the scene. They couldn't believe it. What kind of technique was this? How could it kill the 4th protector in an instant? Perhaps even the 1st protector couldn't do it. Only the left and right messengers could do this. However, the left and right messengers could do it because they were half-step kings, surpassing the peak of the 9th heaven. But why did the other party do it? One had to know that the other party's cultivation was only at the early 9th heaven. In their eyes, he was pitifully weak. However, his battle prowess made them shudder. The 3 of you go together. You must capture this brat. The right messenger said coldly. He was very curious. Why did the other party have such powerful battle prowess? Only by capturing the other party could he find out the secret. Hearing the right messenger's words, the 3 protectors didn't hesitate and quickly flew out. If the 3 of them were to deal with a 9th heaven brat at any other time, they would definitely disdain it. This was because they didn't care about such ants. However, they couldn't do it now. The other party's strength was too strong. They had to go all out and take him seriously. The first protector was an old man. He had a pale face and white hair. Although his eyes had seen the vicissitudes of life, they were incomparably sharp. As his eyes moved, there was a boundless murderous aura surrounding him. The second protector was a middle-aged woman. She wore a long white dress and had a pair of hidden swords on her back that flickered with a cold light. The third protector was a middle-aged man. He also wore a black robe. However, under the black robe, one could see that he was wearing a golden armor. Upon receiving the order, the 3 of them exploded with all their strength in an instant. Terrifying auras spread out in all directions, setting off thousands of waves. Then, the 3 of them stomped their feet and soared up almost at the same time. They turned into lightning and charged toward Lin Xian. What a waste of time! Lin Xian snorted coldly. He was in a hurry and didn't want to waste time with the other party. Therefore, without any hesitation, he immediately used the void-shattering finger. With a flick of his finger, 3 void-shattering fingers flew out like arrows. Puff! 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 In the next moment, 3 deep sounds rang out. Blood splattered in the air. The 3 protectors' bodies also appeared in the air and stopped in midair. No. Ken! The 3 of them were bleeding from between their eyebrows. Their faces were full of shock. They didn't believe that the other party could kill the 3 of them in an instant. This wasn't something that a supremacy could do. Plop! 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 The three of them fell from the sky. What? They're all dead? The left and right messengers widened their eyes in disbelief. This method was too terrifying. Although the other party's cultivation was only at ninth heaven supremacy, his battle strength was definitely not inferior to the two of them. At the thought of this, the two messengers' faces became very ugly. This was because the four protectors under them were all dead. Chapter 1402. What? They're all dead? The two envoys widened their eyes in disbelief. This method was too terrifying. Although the other party was only a ninth level venerable, his battle prowess was definitely not inferior to them. Thinking of this, the two envoys' faces turned ugly because their four great protectors were all dead. This was an unimaginable loss for them. Because their black dragon religion did not have many mysterious crystals left, it would be difficult to create another expert like this. Unless their religion master could obtain another piece of sub-god crystal. This matter was originally not difficult, but now that another king-level monster had appeared in the demonic abyss, it would not be easy to obtain another sub-god crystal. Therefore, the two of them were incomparably furious. Kill! With a furious roar, the two of them rushed toward Lin Xian with murderous intent. Light shone like the sun, and even more so like a powerful god of war. One each. Hurry up! Lin Xian said to the crimson dragon beside him. Piece of cake. The crimson dragon had recovered his half-step king cultivation and was very powerful. Coupled with his experience and cultivation technique, dealing with a half-step king was no different from beating him up. Soon, the crimson dragon faced the green dragon, left envoy. As for Lin Xian, he was up against the right envoy. The battle erupted. The right envoy did not have the mist, but directly raised his fist and waved it, like an ancient demonic beast awakening. It had the power to tear apart the heavens and earth. That terrifying energy directly enveloped Lin Xian. Puff! A sword light lit up like a peerless divine sword and split apart the opponent's fist aura. Then the long sword stabbed out like a dragon. Unfettered palm! The right envoy roared and waved his palms, forming a huge white vortex. The white vortex was like a combination of countless heavenly blades, spinning rapidly in the air, wanting to cut Lin Xian in half. Wherever it passed, countless cracks appeared in the void. Lin Xian coldly roared. His expression was solemn as he quickly activated the star armor and covered his entire body. Then his long sword trembled, and countless sword lights turned into blazing rainbows that quickly swept out in all directions. Bang, bang! Lin Xian's sword light was too terrifying. It contained the power of the great dragon sword soul and was incomparably fierce. It directly forced the right emissary to retreat. The carefree right emissary retreated as blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. He roared furiously, and his whole person completely entered into a berserk state. That was because he could not tolerate a ninth heaven venerable tear injuring him. Kill! Lin Xian also let out a loud roar as he raised his sword and charged forward. He was like the god of slaughter. His entire body was emitting a terrifying sword radiance. Countless gigantic swords were falling from the sky. This scene was too terrifying. The right emissary of freedom was both shocked and furious. He didn't expect the other party to be so powerful. His combat strength still surpassed his own. Impossible. I don't believe it. I don't believe that you are stronger than me. The carefree right emissary seemed to have gone mad. His entire body was radiating light, and he looked like a peerless, ferocious beast. Humph. You're just a piece of trash who used external force to forcefully raise your cultivation. Do you really think that you're invincible? Let me tell you, in front of me, you're just an ant. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous as his battle-intent sword. His entire body emitted a powerful battle intent. In the next moment, he waved the Lone Star sword in his hand and continuously slashed at his opponent. Lin Xian's aura was too powerful. He was like the god of slaughter as he continuously waved his sword. It was as if he wanted to destroy the entire sky. The right emissary of freedom spat out blood again as he continued to chase. A trace of shock appeared in his eyes. The other party's aura was too powerful, far surpassing his own. Run. He was terrified. Moreover, the other party was right. He had used external force to raise his cultivation, so his foundation was extremely unstable. Moreover, his combat strength was also lower than a normal half-step king. Normally, this kind of thing was nothing, because there were not many people in Tiannan region who had a higher cultivation than him. But now, facing Lin Xian, all of his flaws were exposed. This was like having a powerful strength, but being unable to use it to its fullest extent. This was because this strength was not cultivated by himself. However, Lin Xian was different. Every step of his cultivation was obtained by himself. Moreover, he had experienced hundreds of battles and could be said to be extremely powerful. He also had many kinds of earth-tier martial arts in his hands. Once he used them, his strength would exceed his own by more than 10 times. Therefore, the two sides were not on the same level. Let's end this. Lin Xian's voice was ice-cold. His entire body was surrounded by dazzling sword light. The sword in his hand also erupted with boundless aura. The sword pierced out like a heavenly sword. This sword made the whole world tremble. The right emissary of freedom's expression changed greatly. There was nothing he could do. This sword was too terrifying. It made him tremble incomparably. He knew that with his own strength, he would not be able to dodge this attack. Therefore, at the crucial moment, he quickly patted all the joints in his body 18 times before spitting out 3 mouthfuls of blood. Black Dragon's secret art. This was a life-saving technique given to them by the Black Dragon sex leader. He originally thought that he would not need to use it, but he did not expect to use it now. After spitting out 3 mouthfuls of blood, the right emissary of freedom became extremely pale. It was as if he would fall at any time. However, he still gritted his teeth and quickly waved his hand. Suddenly, the 3 clouds of blood mist in front of him condensed. Moreover, a black flame was born from within. It enveloped the right emissary of freedom and quickly rushed into the sky. Puff! The sword slashed down and hit the black flame that was about to escape. The right emissary of freedom let out a blood-curdling scream. Then, blood spurted out again. However, the black flame was still quickly disappearing into the sky. Lin Xian raised his eyebrows. He was greatly surprised. He did not expect the right emissary of freedom to have such a life-saving technique. Judging from the aura, it seemed to be the aura of the Black Dragon sex leader. It seemed that it would be troublesome to kill the right emissary of freedom. On the other side, the left Green Dragon emissary was beaten up by the Crimson Dragon. He was covered in wounds. When he saw the right emissary of freedom escaping, he also used the same method to escape. The Crimson Dragon snorted coldly. It wanted to chase after the right emissary of freedom, but it was stopped by Lin Xian. Forget it. It's just 2 pieces of trash. Let them run. Let's move quickly. All right, I'll listen to you. The Crimson Dragon nodded. Then, the 2 of them quickly flew down. The battle seemed very long, but it was actually very short. The Black Dragon sex leader did not even have time to react. When he did, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon had already descended to an altitude of 500 meters. Lin Xian hovered in midair with an extremely solemn expression, because at this height he could clearly sense the terrifying aura of the king domain below. That aura made him have no choice but to use the cosmic armor to protect himself. This is the power of a king domain. It's too terrifying. Lin Xian's eyes flickered and erupted with a resplendent light. He swore that he would definitely enter the king domain and obtain this power. Chapter 1403. This is the power of a King Realm expert. It's too terrifying. Lin Xian's eyes flickered and emitted a resplendent light. He swore that he would definitely enter the King Realm and possess this power. At this moment, the King Realm expert and Black Dragon Sect's leader, who were fighting fiercely, noticed the existence of Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. However, this time the two kings didn't attack and instead revealed a trace of disdain, because in their opinion it was simply a fantasy for these two to enter the devil abyss below. Reckless idiots. With your strength, you want to enter the devil abyss below? The Black Dragon Sect's leader coldly snorted with disdain. Even he had to be careful and use all his strength to deal with the devil abyss. How could the two venerables below enter? He probably didn't even need to make a move, as the two would be mercilessly killed by the energy within the devil abyss. These two fellows actually didn't make a move. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were stunned for a moment before they became overjoyed. They also understood why the other party didn't make a move, because in everyone's opinion, the two of them didn't have the qualifications to enter the devil abyss. Indeed, under normal circumstances, the two of them wouldn't be able to enter. Although the Crimson Dragon was a King Realm expert and Lin Xian had the Great Dragon Sword Soul, the two of them were still too weak to contend against a King Realm expert. However, the real situation was different. Lin Xian had a King Realm expert's killing formation. Its power wasn't any weaker than a King Realm expert's. Therefore, they had the opportunity to enter the devil abyss below. This was something that the Black Dragon Sect's leader and the King Realm expert didn't know. Therefore, this created an opportunity for Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. Attack! Lin Xian shouted and then used the King Realm expert's killing formation. Instantly, he and the Crimson Dragon each took a corner of the formation and turned into a gust of wind as they quickly charged downwards. You really dare to go down? What an idiot! You're courting death. Seeing this scene, the Black Dragon Sect's leader sneered with disdain. The other King Realm expert also snorted. However, they were soon stunned because they discovered that the two of them had actually broken through the fog outside the devil abyss. How is this possible? The Black Dragon Sect's leader's eyelids twitched and his eyes were filled with disbelief. After all, that was a king domain. Even he had to be careful when dealing with it, and there was no way anyone below king level could break through it. Not to mention breaking it. He probably couldn't even get close to it. Yet now, two kids at the Exalt Realm had actually accomplished it? This was too inconceivable. The unknown king demonic beast also roared. Suddenly, 3 blood-red arms shot down from the sky, trying to stop Lin Xian and Yi Shiwen. The Black Dragon religious leader also coldly snorted. He extended a black, dragon-like palm and quickly pressed it downward. However, the two of them were still a step too late. Below, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon wielded the King Killer Ray. Like a heavenly blade, they quickly broke through the surrounding fog and entered the devil abyss. Boom! The attacks of the King Beast and the Black Dragon religious leader collided in the air and exploded with resplendent light. Countless bursts of energy erupted and swept through the world. However, it did not have any effect. Damn it! The Black Dragon religious leader's expression was incomparably ugly. He did not expect that he would be careless and allow 2 ants to enter below. At the thought of this, he felt like he was going crazy. With a low roar, his body swayed, and like a black ghost, he quickly charged downward. However, he was quickly stopped by the other 6 arms. The 6 arms waved like heavenly rivers, forming a powerful defense and blocking the Black Dragon religious leader. You're courting death. Get lost. The Black Dragon religious leader roared. His body erupted with terrifying energy as he quickly counterattacked. Then, the 2 kings started fighting again. Below, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon relied on the King Killer Ray to completely enter the devil abyss. The King Killer Ray was created by the Crimson Dragon using countless heavenly treasures and several months of time. It could be said to be extremely terrifying. It was equivalent to a king domain for a short period of time. As long as the king killer ray was present, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon would definitely be safe. However, the only drawback was that the king killer ray's energy was limited and could not exist for long. Therefore, there was not much time left for Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. After entering the Devil Abyss, Lin Xian quickly spread out his soul power to explore the surroundings. The Crimson Dragon was also constantly looking around. The periphery of the Devil Abyss was the same as before. Countless stone tablets were inserted, and the fog was emitted from these stone tablets. Lin Xian also discovered that the king monster below was not inside the Devil Abyss, but was only at the periphery. In the depths of the Devil Abyss, the fog was very dense. Soul power could not pass through, so he did not know what was going on inside. However, the two of them controlled the king killer ray and cut through the thorns and thorns. They tore through the thick fog and quickly walked inside. However, at this time, Lin Xian's body trembled. He felt as if he was being watched by a huge monster. In the next moment, he suddenly turned around and saw that in the distance, two red dots of light had lit up in the fog. They looked like red flames. It was a pair of eyes. They were very angry, with monstrous anger and a terrifying pressure. Even a venerable one at the peak of venerable one's mind would probably shatter, and his body would explode from the glare. Fortunately, Lin Xian was now in the king killer ray. Moreover, he had the dragon's sword soul in his body, which could resist a part of the king kill array's pressure. Therefore, he was safe and sound under this gaze. However, this gaze still made his heart jump. On the side, the Crimson Dragon's expression was also dignified. Damn it, this should be the other king monster. Be careful, don't be entangled by it. Our time is limited. Lin Xian nodded and controlled the king killer ray with all his strength. The two of them quickly moved forward. Behind them, the fiery red eyes saw this scene and were incomparably angry. In the next moment, a low roar came from all directions, shaking the surrounding void and shattering the fog. A red light, like lightning with a crystalline aura, quickly rushed toward Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. F***CK. Ben Huang didn't show his power. Do you really think we're easy to bully? The Crimson Dragon was very unhappy. He controlled the king killer ray and slashed out a sword chi, which collided with the red light behind them. Suddenly, the energy exploded, and a terrifying wave rushed toward them. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Even though they were in the king killer ray, they still felt a huge impact. Ignore it. Hurry up and find the subdivine crystal. Lin Xian gritted his teeth and said, the current situation was very bad. Once the king killer ray's energy was depleted, they would definitely die here. Therefore, they had to find the subdivine crystal as soon as possible. Just like this, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon gritted their teeth and moved forward while enduring the attacks of the king monster behind them. Finally, they left the periphery and entered the interior. There's something. As soon as they entered, Lin Xian frowned and looked into the distance with a sharp gaze. Chapter 1404. Finally, they left the outer area and entered the inner area. There's something. As soon as they entered, Lin Xian frowned. His gaze was as sharp as a long sword as he looked into the distance. Sure enough, he saw a sparkling dot of light in front of him. Damn! Substandard divine crystal! The Crimson Dragon screamed when he saw the item. He did not expect to find the substandard divine crystal so quickly. Kid, go over there. Hurry! Hearing the Crimson Dragon's words, Lin Xian was also very excited. He did not expect his luck to be so good. He had just entered the demon abyss and found a substandard divine crystal. The two of them controlled the king's killing array and carefully walked forward. On the ground, there was a white crystal the size of a walnut. It was sparkling and translucent. The energy contained in it was many times more powerful than the 3 mysterious crystals Lin Xian had obtained before. The comparison was like comparing a firefly to the sun. They could not be mentioned in the same breath. No wonder the Crimson Dragon had said that once he became a king, he would not be interested in the mysterious crystals from before. Good stuff. Lin Xian reached out and picked up the substandard divine crystal on the ground. He was about to put it into the white bone ring. At this moment, something strange happened. The white bone ring suddenly made a cracking sound, as if it could not withstand the substandard divine crystal. Damn! Lin Xian's expression changed. He quickly took out the substandard divine crystal. Then he showed a pained expression. A crack had appeared on the white bone ring. Although it was small, it would not last for long. Fortunately, he still had other storage rings in his possession. Thus, he hurriedly transferred everything from the white bone ring out. Damn, what a waste of a storage ring! Lin Xian was very pained. He had obtained this white bone ring from an ancient expert. The space inside was very large. It could be said that it was the best storage ring that Lin Xian had. However, he did not expect it to be unable to withstand the substandard divine crystal. Stop shouting. Compared to the substandard divine crystal, this white bone ring is nothing. The Crimson Dragon was very dissatisfied. I can guarantee that if you dare to take out the divine crystals this time, you will immediately be able to exchange them for hundreds of storage rings that are better than the white bone ring. All right, I got it. Lin Xian sighed. But how do we store it? You can't possibly hold it in your hands, right? How about I eat it first? The Crimson Dragon looked at the Subdivinity crystal, drooling. Cut the crap! Lin Xian glared at him. Let's talk about this after we get out. Let's see if there are any other Subdivinity crystals. Thus, the 2 of them started searching again. Just at that moment, the king monstrous beast that was fighting against the black dragon hierarch suddenly let out a mournful cry. That cry was filled with endless berserk and fury. At the next moment, the 9 terrifying arms moved away from the sky, no longer fighting with the black dragon sect master. Instead, they quickly sank into the thick fog below. Clearly, the beast king was enraged. In the sky, the black dragon sect's leader also had a gloomy expression. His eyes flickered with cold killing intent. This is the aura of the Subdivinity crystal. It seems that those 2 ants actually found the Subdivinity crystal. How lucky! However, the Subdivinity crystal will definitely be mine. He snorted coldly, turned into a black lightning, and instantly rushed down. Below, in the depths of the demonic abyss, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were quickly searching. Not knowing whether it was due to good luck or something else, they actually found another Subdivinity crystal not long after. This made the Crimson Dragon so excited that it almost jumped up. Thus, it ignored everything else and directly hugged the Subdivinity crystal, drooling. It's agreed that each of us will get 1 Subdivinity crystal. We'll split it equally. You can't be too greedy. The Crimson Dragon hugged the Subdivinity crystal and refused to let go. All right. I'll give it to you. Lin Xian shook his head helplessly. However, at the next moment, his expression changed drastically and even revealed a hint of shock. The smile on the Crimson Dragon's face also disappeared, and it became extremely solemn. Damn it, let's go quickly. The 2 of them did not hesitate and controlled the king killers to increase their speed to the maximum, flying horizontally as if they were flying. Sure enough, at the next moment, the place where they were originally standing suddenly cracked open. A ball of black flames and a red arm appeared, causing the entire void to explode. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon, who had already retreated far away, saw this scene and their faces darkened. Fortunately, they had run quickly. If they had been a little slower, they would have been killed. Damn! The two kings are coming down. Damn it! We've been targeted. Lin Xian's eyes flickered, and he was very gloomy. Thinking about it, the Black Dragon Hierarch and the King Monsters must have felt the power of the Subdivinity Crystal. So they stopped fighting and directly targeted them. What should they do? The two kings were simply no match for them. Moreover, if the other party blocked the way back, they could only watch helplessly. At that time, if the energy of the King Killer Array was exhausted, they would really be finished. Sure enough, as Lin Xian expected, the two kings were charging toward them. In the fog ahead, a black figure appeared. It was the Black Dragon Hierarch. His tall body was like a primordial demonic mountain. Standing in front of them, he emitted an aura that made everyone tremble incomparably. In another direction, the thick fog rolled rapidly, and a red figure was faintly discernible. Although he couldn't see clearly, those two cold eyes were clearly visible. They were emitting a biting, cold-killing intent. Needless to say, this was the king monster. His eyes were like a blade, and it was very terrifying. Accompanied by a low roar, it was like a peerless demon that made people's hearts tremble. These two incomparably terrifying kings, no matter which one it was, could make countless sovereigns kneel down and worship them. However, at this moment, both of them were targeting Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. Ants, hand over the Subdivinity Crystal, or die. The Black Dragon Hierarch's voice was piercingly cold, emitting an endless amount of killing intent. To be honest, he was incomparably furious. He did not expect that in a moment of carelessness, two ants would take advantage of the loophole and obtain the incomparably precious Subdivinity Crystal. Fortunately, he had discovered it in time. Otherwise, if he had let these two ants leave, his lungs would have exploded from anger. On the other side, the king monster also let out an angry roar. Clearly, the threat was very obvious. Bah! The two of you still want to snatch the Subdivinity Crystal from Ben Huang? Dream on! The Crimson Dragon was so angry that it stomped its feet. If Ben Huang's body wasn't in the right condition, he would have slapped the two of you away long ago. There's no room for you to be arrogant. Lin Xian also snorted coldly, and his expression was extremely solemn. No matter what, he would not hand over the Subdivinity Crystal. Seeing this reaction, the king monster let out an angry roar, and its voice was earth-shattering. However, its huge body was as still as a mountain, and it did not take a step forward. The Black Dragon Hierarch's face also darkened, and his gaze became extremely cold. The other party's attitude made him very angry. Two ants! How dare they behave so atrociously in front of him? They really did not know what death was. However, although he was angry, there was one thing that made him even more shocked. Chapter 1405. The Black Dragon Hierarch's face also darkened, and his gaze became extremely cold. The other party's attitude infuriated him. How dare these two ants behave so atrociously in front of him? They really don't know what death is. However, although he was angry, there was one thing that shocked him even more. He couldn't figure out how these two martial venerables entered this place. One had to know that even he didn't dare to enter the demon abyss easily. What's that? A formation? It's so magical. The Black Dragon religious leader frowned when he saw the king formation around Lin Xian. Based on his intuition, he could naturally sense how terrifying that formation was. No wonder. I was wondering how these two ants could enter. So they're relying on a formation. It seems that this formation won't last for long. I really want to know if you two ants will still dare to be so arrogant when the formation is gone. I'm afraid that I won't even need to do anything. You won't be able to withstand the king domain here. The Black Dragon Hierarch sneered. F*CKU, you're just a black dragon, and you dare to be so arrogant in front of Ben Huang? It's not like Ben Huang hasn't slapped you away before. The Crimson Dragon was instantly enraged when it was looked down upon. "What did you say?" The Black Dragon hierarch's face darkened. He felt that the aura of the two people in front of him was somewhat familiar, but he didn't know where he had seen it before. In fact, this was normal. It had been 5 years, and Lin Xian was no longer the young man from back then. At this moment, he was already majestic and handsome. As for the Crimson Dragon, it had changed from a majestic dragon to a dark red snake. How could the other party recognize it? They probably wouldn't have thought of it. Humph. No matter how stubborn you are, don't think of leaving here alive today. Roar. On the other side, the king demonic beast also let out an angry roar. The Crimson Dragon was unhappy and was about to control the king formation to barge in when Lin Xian pulled it back. "Rusalong, don't be so agitated. I think they won't dare to come in. Otherwise, with their status and strength, they would have attacked us long ago." Lin Xian had already begun to suspect that with the value of the sub-divinity crystals and their strength, they wouldn't waste so much time talking to them. For example, the king demonic beast was abnormally furious, but its body was motionless. It didn't dare to move even half an inch. Lin Xian guessed that they wouldn't dare to enter the demon abyss. This was without a doubt. They didn't have to fight the king demonic beast. King demonic beast. Is king demonic beast, dragon Hieron, demonic, beast. Demonic. When the killing array around you is gone, I'll let you know what it means to live a life worse than death. The Black Dragon religious leader's voice was cold. Of course, demonic Lin. Of the TT. Of two. Of the of course to him. Of TT. Of course. If you don't want to take it, you can just wait here. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Then he and the dark, red, godly mountain dragon controlled the king's killing formation and walked deeper into the forest. "Brat, you're courting death." Seeing the other party leave, the Black Dragon religious leader's face became terrifyingly gloomy. He was unable to figure out why 2 ants at the Exalt realm were actually able to enter the Devil Abyss and not be affected. It had to be known that not only was there a king's domain in the Demon Abyss, but there was also a special energy that prevented kings from entering. Otherwise, he would have gone in long ago. Why would he waste his breath on the other party? Not only him, but the other demonic beast kings were also unable to enter. However, the 2 of them were able to. This made him extremely puzzled. So what if you can get in? In the end, you'll just be making a wedding dress for me. The Black Dragon religious leader coldly snorted, and a terrifying light appeared in his eyes. It was a good opportunity for him to go in and search for the sub-divinity crystals. When he came out, he would take him down in one fell swoop. In this way, the 2 of them would not be able to escape. Thinking of this, the sneer on his face deepened. On the other side, the gigantic, demonic beast kings had the same idea. Its mountain-like body directly lay on the ground, and its 2 fiery red eyes slowly closed. It was actually taking a nap there. However, although it looked like it was sleeping, every movement around it did not escape its soul power's perception. As long as Lin Xian and the Black Dragon religious leader returned, it would definitely launch its fiercest attack. "Brat, how do we get out?" When the 2 of them were far away, the Crimson Dragon religious leader asked. Although obtaining the sub-divinity crystals was a good thing, their escape route was still sealed. They could not leave at all. Moreover, the worst thing was that the king's killing array around them did not have much energy left. It would not be able to hold on for long. When the time came, there would be no need for the 2 kings to do anything. The king's domain here would kill them. There's no other way. We can only try our best to find the piercing divinity crystals. Rusalong, how many sub-divinity crystals do you need to become a king? Lin Xian asked. You want me to break through? Hearing this, Rusalong raised his eyebrows. Brat, let me remind you. Don't have too much hope. Although the subdivinity realm is incomparably miraculous, the energy of the dragon essence I lost is far beyond your imagination. Moreover, stepping into the king realm requires an extremely large amount of energy. If there are too few subdivinity crystals, it won't be able to support me to the king realm at all. The Crimson Dragon religious leader was right. Even kings were divided into different levels. He was not like the Black Dragon religious leader and the demonic beast kings. Those two had just entered the king realm. Although they were stronger than venerable realm experts, they were much weaker than those ancient kings. Rusalong was one of those powerful kings. Therefore, the dragon essence he lost was extremely abundant. These few subdivinity crystals were really not enough for him. The two of them discussed as they walked quickly in search of other subdivinity crystals. However, the Crimson Dragon religious leader's eyes widened as if he had seen a ghost. No way! How could there be so many subdivinity crystals in this devil's pit? In a short while, they found another 3. Coupled with the 2 from before, there were already 5. Even the Crimson Dragon religious leader was greatly surprised by this amount, because it seemed to be too easy to obtain. All right, we have a total of 5 now. Lin Xian reached into his bosom and wanted to take out the subdivinity crystal from before. However, he was stunned in the next moment, because he grabbed empty air. There was nothing in his bosom. The subdivinity crystal from before had actually disappeared. What? It disappeared? How is this possible? Lin Xian frowned, and his little face darkened. He realized that since entering this mysterious devil's pit, everything had exceeded his expectations. He originally thought that it would take a lot of effort to find the subdivinity crystal. However, he never expected that such a precious item would be casually thrown around like trash in this devil's pit. They had easily found 5 of them. However, just when he wanted to take out the subdivinity crystal from before, he realized that it had disappeared. Chapter 1406. Lin Xian reached into his bosom and wanted to take out the subdivine crystal. However, he was stunned the next moment. That was because he had grabbed empty air. There was nothing in his bosom. That subdivine crystal had actually disappeared. What? It disappeared? How is this possible? Lin Xian frowned and his face darkened. He realized that ever since he entered the mysterious demon abyss, everything was out of his expectations. He thought that he would have to spend a lot of effort to find the subdivine crystal. However, he did not expect that such a precious item would be thrown around casually like trash in the demon abyss. They found 5 of them easily. Just as he was about to take out the subdivine crystal, he realized that it was gone. Gone? How could it be gone? The Crimson Dragon jumped up. However, when he realized that the subdivine crystal was still on him, he heaved a sigh of relief. Boy, did you lose it on the way here? The Crimson Dragon said, Are you kidding? With our soul power, how could we not know if something dropped? Lin Xian's face darkened. Indeed, let alone a subdivine crystal. Even if a strand of hair was lost, with his soul power, he would be able to sense it. However, he did not sense it at all. How could the subdivine crystal disappear? F***CK, what the hell? How could it be in broad daylight? The Crimson Dragon was frightened. He looked around cautiously and whispered, Don't tell me. When I entered the demon abyss, I felt a gloomy feeling. Could it really be haunted? What kind of ghost is more powerful than us? It should be at least at the challenger level. Lin Xian shook his head and did not believe it. Don't talk nonsense. If a challenger-level ghost really appears, we will be in trouble. The Crimson Dragon quickly interrupted. Hearing this, Lin Xian took a deep breath and said, How about this? You take 2 of the 3 subdivine crystals and give me 1 of them. Let me try again and see if it will disappear. All right. The Crimson Dragon took 2, while Lin Xian placed the last one in the same position as before. Then they continued their journey. This time, Lin Xian was fully alert as he carefully observed the subdivine crystal in his bosom. The crimson dragon scanned the surroundings, searching quickly. Not long after, Lin Xian stopped in his tracks, his eyes filled with disbelief. The crimson dragon turned around abruptly. No way! Don't tell me he disappeared again. The corner of Lin Xian's mouth twitched slightly. He carefully inspected the area and found that it was really gone. F***CK. It's really haunted. The crimson dragon looked around vigilantly, as if it was ready to attack at any moment. On the other hand, Lin Xian's expression was gloomy. Impossible. Even if it's the soul of a king, it's impossible for it to approach us. You should know that we are surrounded by the king's killing formation as well. It's impossible for him to approach us without making a sound. D***MN. What's going on? How could the subdivine crystal disappear? The two of them searched for a long time, but found nothing. In the process, they found 2 more subdivine crystals. This time, Lin Xian took one and was ready to test it again. Kid, don't mess around. This is a treasure. You wasted it in the blink of an eye. The crimson dragon was very pained. This time, Lin Xian held it in his hand directly. After walking for a while, he found that there was no change at all. It seemed that he was paying attention to it. The subdivine crystal would not disappear. Therefore, he put it in his bosom again. This time he did not walk. Instead, he sat cross-legged on the ground and activated the king's killing formation around him. He believed that even if there was a ghost of a king, it would not be able to escape from the king's killing formation. The crimson dragon was also waiting anxiously because it was also very suspicious. What had happened? It should be noted that the subdivine crystal had only disappeared in Lin Xian's hand, while the ones on its side were still intact. After about half an hour, Lin Xian suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze was like a sharp sword that cut across the void. Who is it? Get the hell out here. He swept his gaze around and shouted coldly. However, it was quiet all around. There was not a single ghost. There was only a dense fog drifting around like demons and ghosts. Kid, don't be like this. I'm scared. The crimson dragon felt uncomfortable all over. It felt as if a pair of eyes were staring at it in the dark. Although it used to be a king, the current situation was too strange. Someone could evade the king's killing formation and attack them. That was not a good thing. F***CK. Lin Xian's small face was cold. He had never encountered such a strange thing. Therefore, he slammed his palm to one side. Boom! Suddenly, the clouds nearby trembled, and even a small hole was torn open. Lin Xian did not care, but the crimson dragon was stunned. Its expression was as if it had really seen a ghost. Kid, you... The crimson dragon stammered and could not speak. Lin Xian felt a chill run down his spine. He quickly said, "What's wrong? What did you find? Is there really someone attacking us in the middle?" "No, it's your power. Can't you feel it? Your power has increased." The crimson dragon finally said the reason. It was too surprised because Lin Xian's palm had actually broken through the fog. Lin Xian's face was also filled with shock as he recalled the incident. When he had just entered, he had no way to deal with the surrounding fog. Previously, he had just casually waved his palm to vent the anger in his heart. He did not expect that it would actually break through a trace of the fog. The change in power was very obvious. However, he had not sensed it before. To be exact, he had not thought about it before. The crimson dragon shouted, "Kid, don't tell me you absorbed the divine crystal that time? Don't joke around." Lin Xian was also very nervous. He clearly remembered that if he had absorbed the divine crystal before becoming a king, he would not be able to condense a king's domain for the rest of his life. At the thought of this, he immediately checked his cultivation power. When he saw that his cultivation had not increased, he immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, things were not as bad as he had imagined. However, when he felt the power again, his face immediately darkened. Strengthened? His power had really increased, and it was obviously strengthened. What's going on? Did I really absorb the divine crystal? But it shouldn't be. Lin Xian was very puzzled and could not understand. One had to know that he had carefully preserved the divine crystal and had no intention of absorbing it at all. Therefore, his art of longevity could not be activated. Now that the divine crystal was gone, his power had increased. Obviously, the power of the divine crystal had transformed into the power in his body. But how did it happen? He did not understand. Chapter 1407. Both of them had ugly expressions on their faces because they hadn't noticed how the subdivine crystal had been absorbed. Moreover, Lin Xian wasn't sure if he had absorbed it or not. What was going on? Would he be able to condense a king's domain in the future? He was completely baffled by all of this. However, a deep dragon roar suddenly came from within his body. There seemed to be a trace of excitement in the roar. Hearing this, Lin Xian's eyelids twitched as if he had thought of a possibility. Ruzalong, do you think it could be the great dragon sword soul? After being reminded by Lin Xian, the crimson dragon slapped its head and quickly said, "No, it's the great dragon sword soul." How could I have forgotten about it? Indeed, the great dragon sword soul situation was special. It was a bit like the crimson dragon. It had lost its power, but with external power it could quickly recover. Lin Xian had known this before. However, he hadn't expected that the subdivine crystal would have an effect on the great dragon sword soul, and it seemed that the effect was not small. After understanding the situation, Lin Xian's eyes lit up. He was very excited now. If he could restore the great dragon sword soul to the king realm, then he would have unparalleled power. At that time, even if he faced a king, he wouldn't be afraid. Let's try again. Lin Xian took out 2 more subdivine crystals for the great dragon sword soul to absorb. Sure enough, this time, all the power of the subdivine crystals flowed into the great dragon sword soul. Just these few subdivine crystals allowed the great dragon sword soul to reach the middle of the 9th level. Not enough, still not enough. Lin Xian clenched his fists. He realized that if he wanted the great dragon sword soul to complete a breakthrough in quality, these subdivine crystals were not enough. He needed more subdivine crystals. This time, the crimson dragon gritted its teeth and quickly activated the king's killing array. The 2 of them flew deeper into the devil abyss. Along the way, the 2 of them picked up 7 or 8 more subdivine crystals. They left some for the crimson dragon and let the great dragon sword soul absorb the rest. Moreover, they discovered that the deeper they went into the devil abyss, the more subdivine crystals there were. Then, the 2 of them ran inside with all their might. The fog inside was getting thicker and thicker, like a layer of clouds, blocking all senses. Lin Xian and Yi Shiwen had the king's killing array. The king's killing array was like a sharp knife, directly cutting through the thick fog. Boom! They cut through the thick fog in front of them. Just as they were about to continue forward, it was as if they had bumped into a huge mountain, causing a deep sound to ring out. That terrifying power directly pushed the 2 of them back. What's going on? Lin Xian was shocked. He carefully looked ahead. Could it be that there was no way out? Damn it, what's that? So hard. Even the king's killing array was repelled. The crimson dragon was even more shocked. He was very confident in his king's killing array. Along the way, he had indeed played a huge role. However, he did not expect that he would be bounced back at this time. He couldn't help but be surprised. The 2 of them looked at each other. then carefully walked forward. After passing through layers of thick fog, the two of them finally found a huge black shadow in front of them. Standing in front of them was a white wall. Could it be that this is really the end? Lin Xian frowned. The Crimson Dragon also walked along the white wall. He found that after walking for a long distance, he could not see the end. It was as if there was really an endless wall blocking the way. It's not a wall, it's not a wall. However, the Crimson Dragon also made a new discovery because he found that it was not a wall, but something else. It's not a wall? Then what is it? Lin Xian was surprised. The Crimson Dragon pointed ahead and said, "Look, doesn't it look like a door?" A door? Lin Xian looked carefully. Then he found that there was indeed a door on the white wall. However, the door was tightly closed, and there was thick fog around it, so at first glance it was impossible to see it. "You don't say this is a house?" Lin Xian opened his mouth wide. He found that there were really strange things happening in the Devil's Pit. The Crimson Dragon retreated and used some secret technique. Its dragon eyes emitted a purple light. Then he shouted in a low voice and looked ahead carefully. Soon he was shocked. "This is not a house. We seem to have found something good. It looks like a spiritual boat." Spiritual boat. Lin Xian was also surprised. He did not expect that there would be a spiritual boat in the Devil's Pit. "Are you sure?" "It should be. It looks like a spiritual boat, but why is it here?" "Kid, if this is an ancient spiritual boat, then it's full of treasures." The Crimson Dragon was very excited. This was because he found that the number of subdivine crystals near the spiritual boat was the highest. Therefore, he guessed that there was definitely a huge treasure trove inside. Lin Xian was also excited. Originally, the two of them thought that there was no other way because the king's killing array could not last for long. However, they did not expect to find this spiritual boat. If they could get in and leave with the spiritual boat, the two kings would never expect it. Then they would be able to leave the Devil's Pit safely. Then what are we waiting for? Hurry up and get in. Lin Xian directly activated the king's killing array and exploded with a terrifying aura. It quickly blasted toward the white door. Boom! A low sound was heard. Then a huge force came from the door and quickly blasted the king's killing array. Instantly, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were pushed back. "No way, it's so strong." Lin Xian's eyes widened in disbelief. The Crimson Dragon also took a deep breath. "What the F***CK is this? Even the king's killing array could not be broken?" One had to know that the king's killing array could fight against a king. In other words, even a king could not open this door. Thinking of this possibility, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were stunned. What kind of material could have such a strong hardness? "We're rich. We're definitely rich. Just by looking at the quality, it's definitely an Earth-class treasure." The Crimson Dragon was very excited. Indeed, if it was an ordinary material, it would definitely be destroyed. Lin Xian bitterly smiled. "What the F***CK, we can only watch. We can't go in at all." He sighed but did not give up. Instead, he quickly operated his soul power and slowly penetrated the door through the small crack. Lin Xian wanted to explore what was inside. If there was any mechanism, he could use his soul power to open it. However, Lin Xian found that with his soul power he could not completely enter, which made him even more shocked. "Ruzalong, hurry up and help me." Lin Xian did not want to give up, so he called Ruzalong to help him. The Crimson Dragon's soul power also reached out. The two soul powers combined to form a powerful force and quickly penetrated inside. In the next moment, the two were stunned. Chapter 1408. Lin Xian was even more shocked when he realized that his soul power was unable to enter completely. "Ruzalong, hurry up and help me." Lin Xian did not want to give up, so he called out to Roussillon to help him. The Crimson Dragon's soul power also reached out. The two soul powers combined to form a powerful force that quickly penetrated deep into the ship. In the next moment, the two of them were stunned. They were extremely shocked. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon worked together and quickly sensed the situation inside. They had to admit that this spiritual boat was even more terrifying than they had imagined. Even when the two of them worked together, they could only sense about 10 meters into the ship. Even so, they were still stunned. Shocking. Too shocking. Absolutely shocking. Because in the passage about 10 meters in front of them, there was a floor full of sub-divinity crystals. There were more than 50 sub-divinity crystals, which was far more than what Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon had obtained. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon had worked so hard and only obtained a dozen sub-divinity crystals. But now, there were more than 50 sub-divinity crystals in the passage behind the door. This huge gap greatly stimulated them. Damn, this is intolerable. Ben Huang must go in. The Crimson Dragon was so excited that he jumped up and down. It could not be helped. He was stimulated. Lin Xian's eyes were also burning. He was so excited that he trembled. He wanted to take away all the sub-divinity crystals on the floor. Now he could completely absorb the sub-divinity crystals. Moreover, the more he absorbed, the more his dragon sword soul would recover and his strength would become stronger. One day, he would be able to make his dragon sword soul reach the king realm. Then he would not be afraid of the black dragon sect leader and the king demonic beasts outside. But now the only problem was that the two of them could only watch. They could not take it out. Even if they could use their soul power to wrap around the sub-divinity crystals, they could not take them out. I can't accept this. The Crimson Dragon kept searching with its claws, trying to figure out what was behind the door. Later on, Lin Xian also took action personally. He really didn't want to give up this opportunity, but when his hand touched the white door, the entire spirit boat started to shake violently. Boom, 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 boom. In front of them, the white door that could withstand the king-killing formation slowly opened, revealing a pitch-black passage. What's the situation? The Crimson Dragon King's eyes widened in shock. Lin Xian was also shocked. Brat, what did you do? Why is the door open? The Crimson Dragon looked at Lin Xian curiously, because he knew that the door only opened after Lin Xian made his move. Could it be that he encountered some kind of trap? That's why the door opened. Lin Xian was also very puzzled because he didn't do anything special. He just touched the white door like the Crimson Dragon. Maybe. The Crimson Dragon also couldn't understand, but he didn't want to think too much about it. His body turned into a red light and he went in with a whoosh. The most important thing now was to take all the sub-divinity crystals inside. Lin Xian was also very excited as he strode in. There were a total of 53 sub-divinity crystals on the ground. Among them, the Crimson Dragon took 25 and Lin Xian took 28. Because the sub-divinity crystals couldn't be placed in the storage ring, the Crimson Dragon used its dragon scales to create a bag on its back and used it to wrap more than 20 sub-divinity crystals. Lin Xian also used the Starry Battle armor to create a bag on his back and put away all 28 sub-divinity crystals. Excited, this was really too exciting. They had worked so hard and only found a dozen sub-divinity crystals. As for the black dragon religious leader and the king demonic beasts outside, they had at most 1 or 2. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so anxious. However, they had more than 50 sub-divinity crystals. This was definitely an astronomical number. Boom! At this moment, the white door at the back suddenly closed, and the entire passageway was sealed. The Crimson Dragon waved its palm and attacked. After trying for a long time, it realized that it couldn't open the door again. However, this time it wasn't anxious. Instead, it said excitedly, just this passageway alone had more than 50 sub-divinity crystals. He really didn't know what good things were in this spiritual boat. Kid, why don't we go in and take a look? Okay. Lin Xian nodded. To be honest, he was also very excited. This spiritual boat was really amazing. First, it could withstand the king-killing array. Then, they found so many sub-divinity crystals. It could be said that it was very mysterious. He also wanted to know what was in this spiritual boat. Although he couldn't see clearly from outside, how big was this spiritual boat? Just from inside, Lin Xian could sense that this spiritual boat was definitely huge. It was at least twice as big as the one in his hand. In front of them was a straight passageway that was 50 meters long. About 50 meters away, there was a right-angle corner. This passageway was also made of white metal. Lin Xian tried it and found that the king-killing array couldn't break it at all. It couldn't even leave a scratch on it. This made the two of them extremely shocked. The king-killing array was extremely powerful. It could kill a supremacy realm warrior as easily as cutting vegetables. Even if it encountered a king, it could still contend with him. However, such a powerful killing array was actually unable to leave even a scratch on the metal wall. It had to be said that this was too miraculous. Treasure. This was definitely a treasure. It was at least an earth-rank treasure. The Crimson Dragon was so excited that it was drooling. Let's go and take a look. Lin Xian also took a deep breath. A passageway was so precious. There must be treasures in this spiritual boat. However, when they reached the end of the east passageway, before they could enter the right-angle passageway, the two of them were stunned again. This was because there was a palm print on the white wall in front of them. A palm print was imprinted on the wall. It was so clear that the wall caved in slightly. Previously, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were too excited and didn't notice it at all. Now that they were so close, they naturally noticed the palm print. No way, who is it? To be able to leave a palm print on this white metal. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. One had to know that this was a metal that even the king-killing array couldn't leave a mark on. The Crimson Dragon also took a deep breath because he realized that even if he was in his peak state, he wouldn't be able to leave a mark on this white metal. However, someone had actually done it. One had to admit that the other party's strength was too terrifying. Even if it was a king, it was probably one of the top ones. Moreover, what was even more shocking was that this palm print was 3 times larger than an ordinary person's palm. Ordinary humans didn't seem to have such a large palm. The two of them entered the right-angle passageway with great curiosity. However, they were soon shocked again and even cried out in surprise. Chapter 1409. To be honest, they were truly stunned this time. They were even more shocked than before. That was because they had discovered a corpse. A perfectly intact corpse. The corpse was extremely tall, even taller than the Black Dragon leader outside. It was at least 5 or 6 meters tall. Logically speaking, it was impossible for an ordinary human to have such a physique. Only the Yao clan would have such a physique. However, the corpse in front of them had the face of a human. It did not have any characteristics of a Yao clan. It was a middle-aged man. He was tall and had bronze skin. He wore ancient clothes and did not wear any armor. However, judging from the condition of his muscles, he was definitely stronger than Lin Xian's cosmic armor. There were no injuries on his body, but his eyes were wide open. There was even infinite anger and fear in his eyes. Lin Xian took a closer look at the man's palm and realized that the man's palm matched the palm print on the white wall very well. The dark red divine dragon also noticed this. Then the two men's heads exploded. If they guessed correctly, the palm print on the white wall was left by the middle-aged man in front of them. To be able to leave a palm print on such a wall, there was no doubt that the middle-aged man was a king. Moreover, he was an extremely terrifying king. However, such a terrifying king had died. Moreover, he had an extremely frightened expression before he died, as if he had encountered something terrifying. Thinking of this, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon felt their scalps go numb. Rizalong, do you know what's going on? Lin Xian took a deep breath and asked in a deep voice. I don't know. The Crimson Dragon shook his head. To be honest, this middle-aged man's cultivation and strength far surpass mine. Moreover, I'm very surprised. I didn't expect a place like the Tianan region to have such a secret. The Crimson Dragon was very shocked. He did not expect to encounter such a thing. Lin Xian's expression turned serious. He knew that the Crimson Dragon had always been arrogant and did not put anyone in his eyes. However, this time he had actually said such a thing. One could imagine that this middle-aged man had definitely been an incredible person when he was alive. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon were shocked and curious. They carefully controlled the king formation and circled around the corpse. Truth be told, the middle-aged man had quite a few treasures on him as well. However, the two of them did not dare to take them. Although the middle-aged man was dead, the remnant pressure of his body was too terrifying. They didn't dare to have any ideas. What a terrifying king! Lin Xian was shocked. It wasn't as if he had never seen a king before. Similar to the fragmented soul of Niwa of Gojoseon, the corpses of the emperors in the remote sky secret realm, and the fragmented soul of Taoist Songsong, none of them had such a strong impact. This was because the kings from before were either broken souls or piles of bones. None of them were as intact and lifelike as they were now. In fact, the oppressive might on his body did not dissipate by much. Lin Xian knew that this was a true expert. He had reached the realm where his body would not rot. However, such a powerhouse was actually killed, and there was no trace of injury at all. Just what kind of person could have such strength? To kill such a king, what was the realm above the king? What kind of skills did such a person have? Lin Xian was very curious. He asked the Crimson Dragon, but the Crimson Dragon only shook his head and sighed. The two of them walked forward again. Before long, another round arched door appeared in front of them. This time, it was still Lin Xian who placed his hand on it. The door opened automatically. Lin Xian was already numb to such a strange situation. However, when he opened the door, he was shocked. All the hair on his body stood on end. Fortunately, the great dragon sword soul in his body surged out in time to suppress this fear. Beside him, the Crimson Dragon also screamed and retreated 10 feet. They had no choice. They were frightened by the scene in front of them. That was because they saw a pair of eyes. As soon as they opened the door, they were greeted by a pair of eyes. They were cold and emotionless, like the eyes of a demon god looking down on the world. The eyes did not move. They must have lost their vitality. However, judging from the energy and oppressive might it contained, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon could not breathe at all. One look at it and they would be lost in it. Lin Xian took a deep breath and activated the great dragon sword soul again. Suddenly, a loud sound came from his body. A cold feeling surged out, waking Lin Xian up. Lin Xian gritted his teeth and quickly looked away from the eyes. Then he heaved a sigh of relief. Terrifying, too terrifying. That pair of eyes was more terrifying than any king that he had ever seen. It was as if everyone was an ant in front of that pair of eyes. They could only crawl on the ground. The Crimson Dragon also took a deep breath. Then it carefully came to Lin Xian's side. The two of them controlled their emotions and did not look at that pair of eyes. Then they discovered that there was a huge corpse standing behind the arched gate. The corpse was not much different from a normal person. It was also wearing ancient clothes. Although it had lost its vitality, its flesh and blood were still intact. If one did not know better, they would have thought that it was a living person. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon took a closer look and found that there were no wounds on the corpse. Just like the previous one, it had died mysteriously. Two top level kings were extremely terrifying. How could they die in such a strange way? It was very suspicious. What kind of power was it? How could it cause such a terrifying result? Carefully bypassing the corpse at the door, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon came to the hall. Then the two of them screamed again. That was because there were other corpses in the hall. Previously, they were blocked by the one at the door, so they did not see it. Now that they were inside, the situation inside was clear. There were a total of 3 corpses, all of them perfectly preserved. One of them was lying on the ground, while the other 2 were still in a state of battle. The 2 of them were standing in the center of the hall. One of them was a middle-aged man. He had a stalwart figure and a cold face. However, his chest was caved in. 2 blood-red arms had pierced through his body and came out from his back. The owner of the arms was a person wearing a blood-red robe. It was an old man with a cold face. Even though he was dead, he still emitted a terrifying, murderous aura. However, there was a long sword in between his eyebrows that had directly pierced through his entire head. Obviously, the 2 of them had perished together. Although the 2 of them had been killed, they could still feel the tragedy of the battle. There was even a terrifying aura left in the void. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon looked at each other and felt their scalps go numb. Their hearts were beating wildly. These people were too terrifying, not to mention Lin Xian. Even the Crimson Dragon at his peak would not be able to stop them. Damn it, who are these people? Why are they here? Chapter 1410. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon looked at each other and felt their scalps go numb and their hearts beat wildly. These people were too terrifying, not to mention Lin Xian. Even if the Crimson Dragon was at his peak, he would not be able to stop them. Damn it, who are these people? Why are they here? The Crimson Dragon was too shocked. It had to be known that even in the Sky Martial Continent, there were no such talented experts. But now, in this remote Tiannan region, there were actually so many mysterious experts. Come to think of it, in the distant ancient times, the Tiannan region must have some unknown secrets. Sigh. Suddenly, a deep sigh was heard, echoing in the spacious hall. Hearing this, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon jumped up. Damn it, Ben Huang was scared to death. Who is it? Hurry up and come out. The Crimson Dragon and Lin Xian looked around and felt their hair stand on end. One must know that there were several peerless experts, corpses here. If there was a voice, could it be a corpse that came back to life? If a peerless expert really came back to life, then the 2 of them were completely finished. Lin Xian was also very nervous. His eyes were like lightning as he looked around and said coldly, "Who is it? Don't be sneaky there. Hurry up and come out. Lin Xian, I've been waiting for you for a long time. I didn't expect you to come so late." A leisurely voice sounded again. Damn it! Hearing this voice, Lin Xian was completely frightened. He did not expect that the other party would know his name. "Brat, I'm looking for you." "It has nothing to do with me." The Crimson Dragon retreated to the side, bewildered. "Who are you? How do you know my name? Hurry up and come out, or don't blame me for being impolite." Lin Xian shouted coldly. At the same time, he activated the great dragon sword soul in his body to eliminate the fear in his heart. Whether the other party was a human or a ghost, he would not yield. Good, good, good. As expected of the successor of the Way of the Sword, such courage is truly rare. Hearing this, Lin Xian's pupils shrank. Listening to the other party's words, it seemed that the other party knew that he possessed the great dragon sword soul. But how was that possible? Only he, the Crimson Dragon, and Lord Alcohol knew about this. No one else knew. However, the voice in front of him seemed to know as well. This made Lin Xian extremely shocked. Even the Crimson Dragon jumped in fright. "Don't worry, I don't have any bad intentions." That voice sounded again, and then a broken sword appeared in the void. It was a broken sword. It looked very simple and unadorned. it was only a third of its normal length. Furthermore, the remaining half of the sword was covered in cracks. At that moment, the voice came from the broken sword. "You're a sword spirit?" Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. This was not the first time he had encountered something like this. The 10,000 beasting from before also had an artifact spirit. As long as it was not some demon or ghost, everything was fine. I'm not a sword spirit. To be precise, I'm the artifact spirit of this spirit boat. I'm just possessing this broken sword. The voice sounded. This spirit boat is called the Black Earth. You can call me Black Earth. Black Earth? What a lousy name. The Crimson Dragon came to his senses and muttered softly. However, Lin Xian couldn't wait to ask, "Who are you? Who are the corpses here? Also, how do you know my name? How much do you know about the great dragon sword soul?" Indeed, Lin Xian had too many questions, so he had to figure them out. "I've said it before. My name is Black Earth. This is the Black Earth. I've been waiting for you for 10,000 years. What? You've been waiting for me for 10,000 years? Lin Xian's eyes widened in disbelief. What nonsense. I'm only 20 years old. How can you wait for me for 10,000 years? Could it be that you knew I was going to be born 10,000 years ago? Lin Xian's face was full of disbelief. 10,000 years was too shocking. One had to know that even a king could only last for 2,000 to 3,000 years. Who knew if the Tianan region existed 10,000 years ago? You're wrong. I wasn't waiting for you. I was waiting for the successor of the great dragon sword. After 10,000 years, I finally waited for the successor of the great dragon sword. Lin Xian, you're the one I've been waiting for. The successor of the great dragon sword. Lin Xian's heart skipped a beat. If that was the case, then it was possible. The great dragon sword had existed since ancient times, and he wasn't the first to obtain it. How do you know I have the great dragon sword soul? It's normal. I can feel the aura of the great dragon sword soul on you because my master was also the successor of the great dragon sword. Your master too. Lin Xian was even more shocked. He didn't expect to hear this news. Who's your master? Is he still here? What's the situation with the corpses around here? Lin Xian continued to ask. That's my master. The broken sword in the air suddenly emitted a weak light and swept towards the majestic man in the middle. What? He's your master? And he was once the successor of the dragon sword. How did he get killed? What's going on? Lin Xian was also astonished. On the side, the Crimson Dragon also asked, "That He too, what realm are they at?" To be honest, the Crimson Dragon was also very shocked. Just the aura emitted by these corpses made his hair stand on end. So he wanted to know what realm these people had reached. Could it be the legendary realm? My master is called Yi Gucheng, the 4th generation successor of the dragon sword. The 4th generation successor of the dragon sword. Lin Xian was shocked. He had never heard of this news. However, he quickly frowned and said, "That's not right. Hasn't the great dragon sword soul existed since ancient times? Why is it only the 4th generation?" Hearing this, the Crimson Dragon's eyes flickered, while the broken sword Heitu said in a deep voice, "That's right. The great dragon sword soul has existed since ancient times, but no one knows how many people have it. However, ever since the great Emperor Shimen appeared, swept through the 8 desolations and ruled thousands of races, he became the first successor of the dragon sword. After that, there was the 2nd generation, the 3rd generation, and the 4th generation. Great Emperor Shimen? Who's that?" Lin Xian was puzzled, because from the other party's words, he could tell that this was definitely an incredible person. Great Emperor Shimen. He's definitely a peerless figure who suppressed the ancient times. He's an existence that countless people look up to. The Crimson Dragon also sighed, and his eyes were filled with deep respect. Obviously, he knew about this great Emperor Shimen. Great Emperor Shimen shocked the ancient times, and his life was filled with countless glory. I'm afraid that it would be difficult for his descendants to reach his height. He too said, now you understand. In other words, I'm the 5th generation? Lin Xian's face was solemn. Perhaps, but I'm not too sure. After all, 10,000 years have passed. You might be the 5th generation or the 6th generation. But no matter which generation you are, you're still the successor of the great dragon sword. Then how did your master die? Why did you wait for me? Lin Xian was puzzled. Chapter 1411. In other words, I'm the 5th generation. Lin Xian's expression was solemn. Perhaps, but I'm not too sure. After all, 10,000 years have passed. You might be the 5th generation or the 6th generation. But no matter which generation you are, you're still the successor of the great dragon sword. Then how did your master die? Why did you wait for me? Lin Xian was puzzled. Although he and Yi Guqing both had the great dragon sword soul, they didn't know each other. So why did He Tu wait for him for 10,000 years? My master, Yi Guqing, was very powerful and brilliant. He could be said to be the most dazzling genius of that era. Genius? Isn't that used to describe the younger generation? Lin Xian looked at Yi Guqing in puzzlement. Yi Guqing looked like a middle-aged man. What do you know? Great emperors can live for 20,000 years, but my master is only 40 years old. He can be said to be very young. He Tu's voice was excited. Did you know that my master became an invincible king when he was 40 years old? He could be said to be the most dazzling person of that era. If he was allowed to grow, he could definitely become another great emperor in the future. What? An invincible king at 40 years old? This time, it was the Crimson Dragon's turn to cry out. To be honest, it was too shocked because it had never seen such a young, invincible king. What does invincible king mean? Can you tell me more about it? Lin Xian was puzzled. Although he could guess the meaning behind this, he still didn't know the specifics. Looks like your place is too backward. You don't even know about the martial Tao. He Tu said slowly. All right, kid, let me give you some knowledge. Let's talk about cultivation first. The martial Tao is divided into 9 major realms, starting from the Meridian's condensing realm, Spirit Sea realm, Harmonious Spirit realm, Spirit Transformation realm, and Spirit Detecting realm. Above that is the Monarch realm, King realm, Saint realm, and Great Emperor realm. You're now in the Monarch realm. I don't need to explain the previous realms. I'm sure you know. After the Monarch realm is the King realm. The King realm is divided into 9 minor realms. Every time one advances, one's strength would undergo a tremendous change. It isn't just that the domain would grow stronger and stronger as well. It can be said that every single advancement in the King realm is more difficult than all the previous realms. Invincible King realm cultivators are invincible in the King realm. My master, Yi Guqing, is an invincible king. Upon hearing this, Lin Xian was extremely shocked. He already knew that above the Venerable One was the King realm, but he did not expect there to be another realm above the King realm. That was the Sage realm, the Great Emperor. And the Great Emperor Shimen mentioned by He Tu before should be the pinnacle of martial arts. No wonder the Crimson Dragon showed that kind of reverence before. Great Emperor. Lin Xian clenched his fists. He felt as if a new door had opened in front of him. The 9 realms gave Lin Xian a new understanding of martial arts cultivation. At this moment, the Crimson Dragon continued, Kid, the King realm is even more terrifying than you think. For example, the Black Dragon sect leader and the king monster outside are only 1-star kings. I'm afraid that even the kings of the Martial Sky Continent are at most two-star kings. It would be very difficult for them to advance any further. Those old fellows, the most conservative of them, are more than 1,000 years old, and some are even more than 2,000 years old. However, in this lifetime, they will probably stay at the one-star or two-star king realm. It's impossible for them to advance any further. And invincible kings are existences that even 9-star kings cannot contend against. You can imagine how terrifying such people are. Hearing this, Lin Xian was extremely shocked. He knew that the Crimson Dragon was right. The further one went on the path of martial arts, the more difficult it was to cultivate. He had felt this when he was in the Venerable Realm, not to mention the more profound King Realm. However, he did not expect that the middle-aged man in front of him was actually an invincible king. To be able to be called invincible, one could imagine how terrifying his strength was. However, this made Lin Xian even more puzzled. Since he's already an invincible king, how could he be killed? Because the enemy is even stronger. Hey, two-side. Although my master is an invincible existence in the king realm, he is not invincible in the entire path of martial arts. Above the king realm is the saint realm and the legendary great emperor. The enemy's strength is even more terrifying. Unfortunately, my master is too young. If he was given time with his aptitude, he would definitely be able to become a great emperor. Great emperor. When Lin Xian heard this title again, he asked doubtfully, what kind of existence is that? The great emperor is the last realm of the 9 realms. Anyone who becomes a great emperor is an existence that has shocked the ages. Their combat strength is something that you can't imagine. Let me put it this way. The Tianan region that you are in can be completely destroyed with a slap from the great emperor. What? Destroy the entire Tianan region with a slap? Lin Xian was shocked as his eyelids twitched. At this moment, the Crimson Dragon continued. Not just the Tianan region, even the Tianwu continent can be completely destroyed with a slap from the great emperor, making it disappear from this world. So powerful! Lin Xian was dumbstruck. One had to know that the Tianwu continent was extremely big. Even if the kings fought, they could only destroy some mountains and rivers. The stronger ones could destroy countries. However, he had never heard of a king who could destroy an entire continent with a slap. But now, the legendary great emperor was actually able to do it so easily. It had to be said that it was too shocking. The great emperor's strength is incomparably terrifying. His strength is beyond your imagination. When your cultivation deepens in the future, you will understand the reason behind it. He, too, continued. Also, don't think that the Tianan region and the Tianwu continent are that big. On the true map of the world, they are just some islands. What? The Tianan region and the Tianwu continent are islands? Lin Xian was stunned. He felt that his brain was not enough to comprehend it. Although he knew that there was an even bigger world outside the Tianwu continent, he did not expect that the gap between them would be so big. He knew what an island meant. It is indeed an island. It's just that the people here have never been to places that are further away. So everyone thinks that the Tianwu continent is a continent. However, to the people of the real continent, this place is just an island. Our world is called the True Spirit World. In this world, there are a total of 5 large continents. They are the Eastern Wasteland, Western Desert, Southern Ridge, Northern Plains, and Central Region. Between these continents, some are adjacent, some are separated by the sea. The Tianan region and the Tianwu continent that you speak of are just 2 small islands near the Eastern Wasteland. That's all. Chapter 1412. Our world is called the True Spirit World, and there are a total of 5 large continents in this world. They are the Eastern Wasteland, Western Desert, Southern Ridge, Northern Plains, and Central Region. Some of these continents are adjacent to each other, while some are separated by oceans. The Tianan region and Sky Marshall continent that you speak of are just two small islands near the eastern wasteland. That's all. If you compare them in terms of size, it's the difference between an ant and a giant dragon. Lin Xian was speechless and shocked. This news was too shocking. He originally thought that the Sky Marshall continent was big enough, and that the kings were very powerful existences. But he didn't expect that compared to the real world, they were like dust. Of course, this is only the simplest summary. As for the real wonders of the world, you need to personally experience it. Lin Xian also knew that just from this description, he couldn't imagine how vast the land was. However, he believed that one day he would leave this place and step into the real, true spirit world. Then why are you waiting for me? Lin Xian asked again. My master only had one wish in his life, and that was to pursue the supreme martial Tao and become a great emperor. However, the path of martial Tao is very dangerous. My master finally met a great enemy, a person even more terrifying than him. In the end, my master, Yi Gucheng, unfortunately died in battle. However, although he died in battle, his will was not extinguished. So, I followed his last wish and found the successor of the great dragon sword and nurtured him into a true great emperor. What? You want to nurture him into a great emperor? Don't joke around. The crimson dragon jumped up. Kid, I'm not trying to discourage you, but you can become a king or even an invincible king. Maybe you'll be lucky and become a saint. But to become a great emperor, that's simply impossible. The crimson dragon was very excited. Since ancient times, there have only been a few great emperors, and every one of them was a figure that could crush all of eternity. This kind of person, other than being strong, their luck and talent are all the strongest. If one can't reach that, it's impossible to become a great emperor. The crimson dragon said quickly. It was clear that the great emperor held an extraordinary position in their hearts. You're right. However, even if there's only a 1 in 10,000 chance, I still have to try. After all, this was Master's wish when he was alive. Is it so difficult to become a great emperor? Lin Xian didn't understand, although he knew that the great emperor realm was the final realm. He didn't expect it to be so difficult. Judging from the crimson dragon's attitude, this was almost an impossible height to reach. He too said, It's right. It is indeed very difficult. Isn't the great dragon sword spirit powerful? However, out of the 4 masters of the great dragon sword spirit, only the first one managed to become the great Emperor Shimin. As for the 2nd generation, the 3rd generation, and even my master, none of them became great emperors. There are even rumors that the successor of the great dragon sword has been cursed. It is impossible for him to become a great emperor. My master wanted to become a great emperor in order to break this curse. What? Even the 2nd and 3rd generations did not succeed. This time, Lin Xian was truly shocked. One had to know that the great dragon sword spirit was an extremely powerful offensive saint technique. Although he could only unleash a portion of its power now, the effect was still very shocking. It could be said that Lin Xian knew very well how powerful the great dragon sword spirit was. In his opinion, as long as he obtained the great dragon sword spirit, he would definitely become a great emperor. However, he didn't expect that the truth wasn't so. You're saying that even if your master didn't die, it's impossible for him to become a great emperor? Lin Xian asked. 100%? You're thinking too much. According to my estimation, it can only reach about 10%. Hey, Tu shook his head. 10%? You're saying there's only a 1 in 10 chance? Lin Xian was dumbfounded. Brat, what's with your expression? Hey Tu was unhappy. Is 1 in 10 very little? Let me tell you, ordinary people can't even reach 1 in 100 million. Even those saints only have 1 in 10,000 chance. My master only has 1 in 10, and that's already very heaven-defying. What? Even saints who are more powerful than kings only have 1 in 10,000 chance? Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. He now knew how terrifying it was to become a great emperor. That's natural. Since ancient times, there have only been a few great emperors. They can all be counted. The Crimson Dragon also shook his head and sighed. I've even read in ancient books that there wasn't a single great emperor in 100,000 years. You can imagine how terrifying that was. Got it. Lin Xian nodded and almost bit his tongue. There were already billions of people in the Sky Martial continent, and the true spirit world was hundreds of times bigger than the Sky Martial continent. The population was also hundreds of times bigger. However, with so many billions of people, there wasn't a single great emperor in hundreds of thousands of years. One could imagine how terrifying it was to become a great emperor. It could be said that to become a great emperor, other than having extremely powerful strength, one also had to have extremely powerful luck. Only then could one become a great emperor. Lin Xian finally understood why He Tu said that he would nurture him to become a great emperor. The Crimson Dragon's performance was like that, because it was simply impossible. However, Lin Xian clenched his fists after the initial shock, because now he finally had an ultimate goal in life, and that was to embark on the path of becoming a great emperor. You're really willing to help me? Lin Xian looked at the broken sword and asked. To be honest, after knowing the difficulty of becoming a great emperor, Lin Xian was very curious about how He Tu would nurture him. Furthermore, there was another problem. He wanted to know if he could take the Black Earth Spirit ship away. One had to know that this was an extremely powerful flying tool. Whether it was leaving the Devil Abyss or leaving the Sky Martial continent, he would need this Black Earth Spirit ship. I have cultivation techniques, secret manuals, and some experiences left behind by my master. As long as you're willing, I'll do my best to help you. However, I have a condition. He Tu said, help you take revenge for your master. Lin Xian asked back. You guessed right. That's what I want. He Tu's voice was firm. It was obvious that he had thought of this condition long ago. Then who's the enemy? I won't tell you now, so as to avoid giving you pressure. When you have the qualifications to take revenge, I'll naturally tell you. He Tu said slowly. Of course, there's one more thing. You have to swear in front of my master's corpse. Otherwise, I won't help you. All right. Lin Xian didn't hesitate. This matter wasn't too bad for him. Furthermore, having an enemy as motivation to move forward was also very good. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.